The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
The following content contains adult language and humor that is not suitable for viewers under the age of 18. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. The views and opinions expressed during the following video content are those of the individual and may not reflect those of others.
Pacific414 Pop Talk is here. Sit back and relax and join the conversation. We've got Baron, Orman, Tagge, Cash Money, 007, and even Mike too. Pop culture, entertainment, news and reviews. Discussions will have opinions made from the panel to the chat. Everyone is welcome here. Reactions, watch parties, and special guests. We like to have a good time. Pacific414 Pop Talk is underway. Pull up a seat, we're inviting you to stay. Articles, collectibles, reviews, you say. Baron, Cash, and Mike bring the fun tonight. Now sit back, relax, enjoy the show. Don't forget to like or comment below. We almost forgot to share out the show. Pacific414 Pop Talk is one of a kind. It's true. It's true. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome one and all to the Sunday edition of Pacific414 Pop Talk for this Sunday, February 22nd, 2026, along with Baron, Orman, Tagge, Cash Money 007. I am your host, Mike, and tonight we're going to talk about the unexplainable mysteries of the world. And we got a mystery right now, Cash. Baron, you were frozen. You were frozen in time. And you are muted.
He's a mystery himself.
You are muted, sir.
What are you doing to me? What are you doing?
I'm not doing anything to you. You're the one who was muted.
That's
You're
right.
the one who was
on, I didn't
flapping
mute
his
myself, man.
thumbs, and we didn't hear a thing.
Well, this is one of the mysteries right here. Is why does StreamYards hate me?
That sounds like
I think
a
all you
question you need to take with StreamYard.
I think everybody that's dealt with StreamYard asks that question. You know.
I mean,
That is-
yeah, we've had issues with StreamYard. We had issues using EVMux, and
That makes me sad.
none of these things are perfect.
We've had issues with OBS. We've had issues with slobs. We've had issues with this.
And Cash and yep.
We've had
Well,
issues
yeah,
with
you and I always have our issues with Cash.
I have
Leon
issues
has
with
her own issues with Cash.
I have
Oh,
issues
yeah.
with all three of you. So yeah, it's good.
Well,
time.
you know. Well,
Okay, that's how you solve that problem.
I might have been thinking of it.
You thought it, I just enacted it. It's like, okay, he's got a problem. Well, guess what? Problem solved. There we go.
Yeah. Here, I'll do this.
Airlock you go. Out the airlock you go.
Okay, I'll do this for Cash. I will do this for Cash. Oh, did things move around again? I tell you.
Well, they're doing up.
Help! I'm being repressed!
There, I did that for Cash. Oh, they're updating
All right.
stuff again? Hmm.
Yeah, they're adding new stuff, updating stuff, and who knows how much it's going to cost later.
Yeah. Still a sore spot. Still a sore spot.
I know. You were given that deal that they had for $10 a month, and it was supposed to be lifetime. And then a new company comes in, buys StreamYard, and goes, What? Null and void.
They
Yeah, you
bent
should have read the
Baron over.
contract.
They bent
Yeah,
him
they-
over and branded
I,
him.
I squealed like a pig too. It's like they say, "Hey, did you read the contract here? Read between the lines." They were saying to me, so it's like, okay.
Yeah.
And even though I have to admit, I'm really sad Evie Mux didn't work because I really liked a lot of the things they
Yeah.
had on there.
I would like to give them another shot, but I
Yeah.
need to look and see what the latest reviews are on
Yeah.
them before I jump back. Because I like the fact that when we used Eevee Mux, we could talk to each other backstage
Yes.
instead of having to be on screen.
Yeah, that was a
Right.
cool
And-
feature. Yeah.
And it was a nice feature to have this way. You know, if I had to go off screen and we had a guest, just to let the guest know, the guest could actually hear me instead of having to bring the guest on screen to say, "Hey, what's up?" Or,
Yeah.
type in the private chat, letting them know what's going to be going on. And if I haven't told them already, and
Mhm.
I do try to let the guests know ahead of time.
Right. That's true. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why they never adopted that feature for StreamYards. It's just ridiculous.
Right.
With all this other stuff, it's like, and I also liked, obviously for the show we have the moving background, but we used to have moving backgrounds behind us too,
That's
Mhm.
we're on camera, and I miss that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when you had guests on like 24/7 Fusion, some of these other people, we had problems. They had problems trying to get on. So
Yeah, and that was the main sticking point. Wasn't just us; it was the guests too, whose audio would cut out in the middle of the stream. I wouldn't be changing any settings. I'd, set it up before we go live, hit go live, and then, maybe you guys couldn't hear me, maybe I couldn't hear Baron, maybe I couldn't hear Cash or a guest.
Right.
Mhm.
I mean, he was going to come on here. He's going to blow some shit up.
Mhm.
He said, "You're not going to
So-
blow shit up." So,
Speaking of our good friend 24, he was live earlier today.
oh, excellent! Why can you
I know he was talking about the noir Spider-Man movie recently. So
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Well, it's good. Maybe he's going to be coming back a little bit more now. I hope everything's going good with him.
He was
Him.
the way he was talking. It sounded like he wants to come back, and of course,
Yeah.
just like us, he's not going to sugarcoat things. He's going to make sure everybody knows.
Oh yeah, if you want a straight shooter, probably the most straight shooter there is on YouTube. It's him. Whether you like what he says or not, or he'll explain how things are going. He's not going to tell you everything, but he's not one to hide anything. So I call 24/7 the most straight shooter YouTuber out there, and you ain't going to get BS from him.
No, and of course, I do want to say hello to everybody who is here right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, we have As Was. Good to see you. Welcome to the show. We also have Helion. And we also have
Around.
person artwork. Good to see you. We also have Smitty. And we also have Lady Mist. Welcome, everybody. So, we also have Jet Sparks, who just popped in.
Yeah, he just popped. I was going to say, hey, someone just jetted in here and hit the brakes.
So, how about those Canadian hockey teams, man?
How's it going for you, Canada? Hey, you want those medals? Join the U.S. That's all I got to say. Go talk. Come on in.
Well,
and you can have those medals too.
Yeah,
it's just crazy, the Dodgers beating Toronto, now the Olympics, the curling, and of course I saw one post about how Canada's like, well, we're still beating you in history. Of course they're going to play those games because the United States only has 4 medals and Canada has this many. Whoopie-doo, dude. What have you done for us lately?
Yeah.
but I mean, how about it?
It's great.
The women's hockey team comes back and they win. The men's hockey team charges and they win 46 years after the 1980 Miracle Team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know. That's awesome.
USA. Yeah.
Yeah, America is second in the medals. Well, it's not really a surprise. They usually do really well at the Olympics. We have a lot of really good athletes who train hard, but Yeah, unfortunately, there's been a bit of tainted garbage. Not Mulan. Mulan's been beautiful. But
Yeah.
some of these athletes.
Milan?
No, Italy. Yeah, not Mulan.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was
Thinking
going
of
to
somebody
say,
else.
Milan.
Akash,
Yes.
you know what? They're playing in Italy right now. You know, the Olympics are in Italy. You better be careful
just-
there.
I know.
You
The
just
old
gave
country.
just gave Phil McCracken a stroke by doing that. Mama.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I hope so. It's funny. But yeah, no, Italy has been very classy for the Olympics, which has been nice. The ceremonies, they're not going to put up with shit. So good for them.
No, they're too classy. I mean, they're
Yes.
so they're so steeped in their culture, their history.
Mhm.
They weren't going to pull that stunt like Paris did 2 years ago.
No.
No,
You know,
and-
it shows you two countries. You know, the difference.
and how about Alyssa Lau?
Mm-hmm.
Now that's quite the story. Her father's a political refugee, comes to the United States.
Yes.
China tries to recruit her to skate for them, and she told them flat out no. And she wins the gold medal, and you know, she's America's new sweetheart.
Yeah. I mean, what a perfect story there to show, you know, a daughter of an immigrant coming in here, a refugee coming in, a true refugee, and what she accomplished, you know.
Yeah, and of course a certain political party is trying to play politics about that. It's like, look, who cares if she supports Pride or not? Does she love America? Obviously. That's all that matters. So you guys
in
can
her
play
own
politics.
words, she said she was young when she posted that stuff on her ex, and
It doesn't matter, you know. She obviously understands that, you know, the rainbow is for everybody. I know, shocking, but yeah.
But you know, congratulations to her. Congratulations to the curling team. Congratulations to both the men and women's hockey teams on bringing gold to the country. And you know, getting back to Alyssa Lau, I did see a video from, I don't know what year it was. It might have been last year, but it was at a Cardinals game, and when she, you know, threw out the first pitch, before she did it, she did one of her spins like she would on the ice. And then she threw the ball. It's like, now that's impressive to be able to do the spin and then land on the grass without twisting your knee, twisting your ankle,
Yeah.
and you know, being able to land. But I know everybody's waiting for us to get into what the show is about tonight, and the show is about.
What? You don't want an Olympic recap instead?
I mean, I'm just giving this the sports updates for some of the Olympics. I'm not going to go through the whole thing.
Yeah.
But our main topic for tonight is the unexplained mysteries of the world. Do you believe in unsolved mysteries?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. This is an idea that Baron brought up to me. He had this idea, and he said, you know how you want to do specific shows on certain topics? Well, why don't we do one on unexplained mysteries? And I said, yeah, we can do that, because I have one in mind, and I'll talk about it when it's my turn. But Baron, why don't you go ahead and let folks know how you came up with this idea?
I was going to say, wow. I'm hoping I'm looking art bellish for this episode. And, I've always been interested in the mystery, the unsolved, ever since I was a little kid. I mean, I don't know of anybody that was my age growing up that didn't watch Leonard Nimoy on In Search of, which had a lot of the unsolved mysteries, cryptozoology, topics like, you know, UFOs, close encounters, you know, the third kind, the second kind. I mean, back in the time with the 70s, it was a big rage, I tell you, even on top of the IDS tower when they had the observation deck open. They had a UFO display up there, and you go through and, you know, they talk about the various sightings and stuff like that. not only did you get a great view of Minnesota and Wisconsin because it's high enough you could look over the cheese land. You had this great display. And just IDS Tower is the tallest tower in Minnesota. Don't you know? So, being that this has been stuck around, of course, in the 80s, I'm sure a lot of 80 kids remember Robert Stack doing In Search
Unsolved
Mysteries.
Unsolved Mysteries, yeah.
And Jack Palance, and later on his daughter joined him doing, these are a few things that Robert L. Ripley challenged us to believe it or not. And so with that, it's still a little loud. It's still a little loud.
Yeah, that's why I'm lowering it.
He's lowering it more. Oh, there we go. I think that's nice now. And of course, I occasionally go across, as someone who delves into theology, delves into the mystery and all that. There's a lot of interesting YouTube channels out there that I have been watching. One that's actually a local Minnesota one, the In Between, and the lady on there just talks about these things. Doesn't mean that she believes in it, but she talks about all these, including the weird stuff that sometimes happen in Minnesota, amongst other states. And of course, in the area, what I call a blasphemy, as a religious person, you have Paul Wallace in his Anunnaki talk and such. He's a former Anglican priest that basically hates the church. And you can hear it whenever he talks about it. And it speaks about, of course, the ancient aliens, which Ancient Aliens has been a very popular show, especially with the aliens guy. So with that, I thought, being that we're talking about wanted to talk about, some topics, not just articles. Why don't we lead off on that? We're all into science fiction. Well, you believe it or not, it's still fun to talk about. And just because, we're going to talk about it doesn't mean that we believe in what we're talking about. But we all believe that there are mysteries out there that are unexplained.
There are mysteries, whether, it's because of folklore or, the legend itself has been blown out of proportion compared to what it started off as, that still grab your attention today.
Exactly. And I know, talking with the great Wendy Webb, a few times. We had her on, I've talked to her more than a few times, but, I have her on my show and such, especially the Halloween. And as a nurse, talking about some of the unusual things that's happened to her or has happened around the hospital, including basically the thing is ghosts. How she chewed out a ghost of a young lady that came in who basically died. I can't remember if she was stoned or drunk or whatever, and whatnot. And she chewed the ghost out for they started seeing that girl walking around in there, and she just chewed her out. She said, saying, "How dare you do this to your family? Don't you know what you did? Now go where you're supposed to go." And she left. So it's like, okay, this is multiple people seeing this. A lot of people don't report this or talk about it because they're afraid of being called, crazy or whatnot. A lot of pilots never have, even in the Air Force, which that has changed. So, I'm sure maybe we all have at one point in our time come across something that is unexplainable. I know I have on a few occasions myself. It doesn't mean I'm a believer. It's just like, okay, what is this? It needs to be explored more. And just pushing things like this onto a back burner and saying it's all foolhardy stuff. Well, isn't science supposed to go out there and try to explain even this oddball stuff? And just because you can't answer it doesn't mean it's not valid. It just means we don't have the answer yet. And no, I'm not talking about those guys that go running around, those ghost hunter guys that, they run around the house. Do you hear that? Do you hear that? And they pee their pants and all that. That's all bullshit, in my opinion.
No, but you hear about people going into, the closed down asylums, and they hear sounds, and they feel a presence, and sometimes that presence is warm and friendly. Other times that presence is like, okay, let's get out. We need to get out now.
Are lonely, are confused, and you've been to America's greatest battlefield, Gettysburg, yourself. Everyone who's gone there have virtually
you feel the presence of the soldiers who died there.
And I know I've been to Medicine Wheel in I think it was Wyoming. It was Wyoming, and it was all fenced off and all, but you get up there and it's an unusual feeling up there. Everything is so quiet. They like to call it America's Stonehenge, but it's not the big stones up there, but it's basically a religious circle used for astronomy, maybe astrology. I know, but whatever the American Indians were using for up there. But you can,
how about settlements and towns that all of a sudden the people living there just up and vanished?
Yeah. Oh,
they up and left, leaving everything behind. I mean, you think about one in North Carolina. Well, the Lost Colony is what it's known as in Roanoke. And I was reading an article not that long ago where they think they know where the settlers might have moved to, because they found some items that would have existed during that time, would have been used. But at the actual site itself, they're still digging things up. They're still finding things.
Right. It's like the town of York in England. Is archaeologists both dream and nightmare, because you literally have a city on top of a city on top of a city on top of a city. So you have pre-Roman, you have Roman, then you have like the Anglo-Saxon, and then you have when the Danelaw came in with the Norse, and then as it goes on there, and to get to certain levels, you have to destroy everything else to get down there. And it's like, what are we losing just to get this information? So it's like it's an archaeologist's dream and a nightmare because of that. So,
well, it's just like this is back in 2007 in Tombstone, Arizona, at the Birdcage Theater there.
Oh yeah,
I could have sworn there were eyes watching.
Was the Clantons? Yeah, or you go up to Boot Hill, the same thing. It's like. Because I've been there too, and it's like, this is a unique town to be in. Definitely not like the movies, that's for sure. But
oh no,
here lies Lester Moore, 4 slugs from 44, no less, no more.
That's the more famous one.
Yeah, I want something witty like that on mine. All right, you go to some of the other graves, or just a graveyard itself. Like the one I'm going to be buried in the middle of nowhere's North Dakota, right? It's a family. It's basically a family graveyard, and the various other people around. There was a church there. The church no longer exists. It was torn down. But it was one of those little country itty bitty things. But you even going there, it's like it's quiet. It's peaceful. It's other than a few gophers running by, maybe a bird. It's like. Yeah, this is just peaceful. It's like, this is where I want my ashes to be. And of course, the long suffering as well. So, and my dad's going there when the ground thaws out. My mom's going there. My grandmother's there. My aunts, my uncles, my grandfather. I mean, but you still feel something when you go there.
Yeah, you do.
But what is that residual thing? And I suppose we'll talk a bit about that. Ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. I'm not going to ruin what you want to talk about, but there's so many mysteries out there.
There are, and we haven't heard from Cash as far as his thoughts and opinions on these unsolved mysteries, unexplainable occurrences and events. And
well, there's one big giant house up there in a mansion around the area that's supposed to be haunted. There's there's some weird stuff that I've seen. There's that show used to be called, I can't remember if it was called Scream or something. It was on MTV. They locked those people up in the morgue, and
Oh,
they couldn't. And I'm sure you can mess with your head and think that there might be stuff over there, but I've always been
yeah.
fascinated by the Bermuda Triangle. I've been fascinated about things like what happened to Amelia Earhart, because we still don't know.
Mhm.
And
Well,
there's all kinds of stuff. I mean, even the Jimmy Hoffa situation, we don't know. It's just crazy.
We don't know where he's buried.
We
don't.
think
We've never
we know.
found him.
They think because of that Irishman movie, or that
mhm.
guy's father, if I remember something about that, that might have been the guy who killed him, but we don't know. And so these are very the Black Dahlia, of course, comes to mind. We still don't have the information on that. We what was it, Unsolved Mysteries? No, it was something like that. It was on the History Channel or something. They said that this son found supposedly the evidence that showed that he killed that woman, with the whole mystery, but we don't know. We don't know. And these things are always very interesting, just like these cold cases, what happened. We just, I still think there's other life somewhere else. I mean, look at how massive our solar system is. So
Mhm.
I've always find this stuff interesting. That's why I think things like X-Files and other stuff, they really started making you think. It's like, yeah, maybe the government is involved in a lot of this. Maybe there is these things that any of this stuff could be possible. So yeah, it's a pretty Bigfoot, though, is always, I guess, going to be interesting to people.
Speaking of the government, Area 51.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Always been a hotbed of activity down there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm sure you're going to find that some of the stuff we'll say that will surprise you on what we do and don't believe in, or have doubts in, or want more information on as we go.
Yes.
But how should we start this off? Should we talk about Nanu? Should we talk about hairy things walking through the woods? What do you think would be the good starting point for this journey into the unknown?
I think I know which one I'd like to go with, but since you are the maitre d' of the show
That's right.
tonight,
That's right. All on you, buddy.
Magnanimous.
all
And
right.
of course, if you want to get involved there in the chat, if you're east of the Rockies, make sure you go on the chat on the right. If you're west of the Rockies, go on the left. If you want the wild card line, just pick whichever one you want to be in. And we do have a first time chatter line. So,
And it's good to see you, Pattis, this evening.
hey, Pat.
Says, hello, everyone. Baron, old buddy, so sorry to hear about your dad. If you need anything, please let me know or Brandon know. Thoughts and prayers.
I've been meaning to get a hold of you. Meaning to get a hold of you, Pat, and everything's going good and whatnot. And I'll try to drop you some. I haven't been on X for a while, so if you've been communicating with me there, my apologies. I'll drop on the X and see what's cooking there. I'm a very horrible social media guy. I admit it. Well, yeah. I mean, I wish DJ was here too, our local science expert. You might say.
I'm sure he will be at some point.
Mm-hmm. So I got a question for everybody involved. Who's seen shadow people?
I have not.
And just to explain, shadow people are usually they appear. They're basically just solid black figures or whatnot. You could almost call them boogeymen, as you might say. And some people have problems with them throughout their life, or they said one encounter and whatnot. So that I will lead off with that one there. And of course, you said yourself, Mike, you have not. Cash is one of them, right?
Yes, I haunt Baron all the time.
I know it. I know it.
I have to. Just out of control.
And you said no, or did you say
no? I haven't really seen Boogeyman.
Okay.
Like
and of course, and I know
What about
California.
Baron? You know, of course, also the thing about what the Bloody Mary stuff, right? Have you ever tried something like that?
No, I
Or
never have.
the Ouija board? Do you think anything ever messed with that stuff?
The
Yeah.
Ouija board is garbage.
Mhm.
It was invented by Milton Bradley.
Right, exactly.
It has no validity in the occult arts or sciences.
Mhm.
It was just something to go out there and and do whatnot. I know people sit back and say they've had experiences, but it's not this ancient tool that's been used for however long to communicate with the dead.
Mhm.
I myself, though, I will confess, I have seen a shadow person when I
Mhm.
was younger. Now, of
And
course,
where was this?
well, uh, when I was young, and probably about this is back to about the time when you start remembering things as a kid, and also you're not influenced by the world around you necessarily on that because that you have that little bit of innocence. But what I remember of the situation was this: is we were in the apartment that we were living in before we went to the house that I spent virtually 18 years in, and I remember my dad was there, and he walked out of the room,
Mhm.
and he walked out of the room, and there in front of the closet. So you had the bed like this way, then you had like the closet wall, and then there was like a little hall, little bump to go out the door because that's where the closet is. And standing in front of that closet was a black figure. And maybe it was because of him that I called my dad in, and my dad's saying there's no such things or are whatnot on that. I don't know. I can't remember. But the thing that burned into my image was that single figure there, and I cannot explain it. I know I saw it, and I know it's not BS, right? Despite what anybody wants to talk about. Sometimes the explanations they try to throw on you are wilder than just the fact that we don't know what it is, and trying to disprove it. Oddly enough, though, when we did move into the house I grew up
Mhm.
in, I remember there was a day, and the family. There were some people over visiting, family. The curtains were open, looking on out onto the street, and I looked out there, and all of a sudden, all this form was a humanoid static, and it was running. And then there were two. Then following behind were two official-looking persons chasing after it. And nobody else noticed this because they were all engrossed in that. I even tried to say, did you, whatever? And, there were some guys chasing, and I remember them saying, like, oh, it sounds like someone's going to have a bad day, type of thing. And it's like,
Mhm.
no, the thing was, and it's like, okay, whatever. I can't explain it. And again, I'm a kid. And I just recently looked up about that. And I guess there have been experiences of people seeing a form of the shadow person, but in this case, like static, like the television static you see on the
But
TV.
could you almost say it's almost like a static of that moment in time still
Well, I don't know.
reoccurring? I
I don't
don't
know.
know if I'm even thinking of the right terminology. I'm probably way off, but
Well, it's odd because again, two guys were chasing it,
Mhm.
so it was in the here and now, and obviously there were some people that knew about it, and why they were in that area specific, I don't know. It's a mystery. It's like you just kind of sit back and go, huh? And we can get to some of this stuff that's coming into the chat in a little bit.
Mhm.
But,
Like Jet's question, do we believe that there are some planets that only exist in another dimension and not our own? I don't know that I necessarily believe in planets from another dimension existing in a dimension. I'm not even so sure I believe in there being other realities
Mhm.
aside from our own.
Right. I do believe there are other quote unquote realities or universes and such, and I approach this both scientifically and religiously. And I've said this, and I know people, try to shut me up right away before I can explain myself about God being an alien. And I'm not talking about ancient alien style. I'm talking about theological. That he created this universe for us, not him, and that the realm of heaven is another universe, and of course the realm of hell, the prison, is also in another universe, another dimension. So on that aspect, scientifically, theologically, whatnot, I do believe that there is that, because this realm is different. The first words in the Bible were, let there be light, and basically what that was okay, we're starting the clock. Time has now been created, and which, of course, in these other ones, obviously must work differently than us. When you're speaking about stuff like eternity and such. So yeah, I do believe that there is, and non-theologically, let's go completely no God involved. Yeah, I can see that there might be something, but what is it? It's not. I don't think it's anything like, we get portrayed with the Marvel movies or anything like that. If there is a parallel Earth or a parallel universe, the deviations are so great that they'll be unrecognizable, and there won't be twins of us out there.
And Jet says, I think you can look at the Mass Effect Codex on the Protheans, the discovery of the ruins we found on Mars that led us our systems. Mars Relay created a new wave of interventional evolutionists. I mean, I do believe in evolution. I do.
Yeah, I believe in both.
I do believe that specifically humans started off the way we started off, and over a long period of time, we reached our evolution. And we're not done yet.
Yeah. You're more of an alien than I am, Spock. Don't get that twisted. Anyways.
Well, he's a green-blooded, pointy-eared Vulcan.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, that's just it. I mean, I don't believe in the evolution that they try to teach in school and such. It's funny. I saw the South Park episode they had yesterday, with the otters and all that. It's like, it's a lie. Otters are not atheists. They're not like that. They believe in God. They're loving little creatures. Don't slander the otters like that. But in all seriousness, though, I don't, the fish monkey, as Garrison is saying. But we as human beings, there's that being able to adapt compared to basically literally changing dream structure. And we are very adaptable. I mean, just take a look at the different ethnicities that we have on Earth. You have the people in Africa, very dark skinned, to protect them from the sun. Logical, right?
Right.
When you don't have as much sun with us Northerners, well, boom, we're not going to be so dark. But we have other things that help protect us against the cold. Sometimes we get a little extra meat on the bones, if you know what I mean. And when people move around, you take a look at the Asian people, and whatnot, which of course the American Indian is off of. They were out of the steppes of Asia, and went over the bridge. I knew a guy who was very proud of the fact that he had he was American Indian. I think he was Cherokee. And he sat back and he was very proud of the fact that he had dry earwax, because that was a sign that he was from Asia, because they had Mongolians. So, I mean, you take a look at the Polynesians, also with the diets people have, what are you eating to sustain you through life? You adapt to that. You become stronger in certain areas. And of course, you have deficits in others. Just like, many in Africa, many black people can't drink milk, cow's milk. They can do goat's milk, but because it wasn't part of their diet for however long, their body has a hard time adjusting to it.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
That's just, that's just how it is.
Well,
Um,
and you brought up like dreams, Baron, and so on. You know, you have these vivid dreams. People can have these vivid dreams, and it's like, is this a sign of something that, you know, could happen in the future? Or why am I dreaming about this? Even something just, it's crazy. And so, like, these dreams can be, why are they so vivid? And then they wake you up, and then you're just like, what the hell just happened? Like, this is crazy. All this stuff, though, I feel, you know, we just, it's good to always talk about these things because dreams and other stuff you see. I saw something years ago that looked like a spaceship, that would look like an alien craft. I can't say it was or wasn't, but it certainly looked weird up in the sky at night.
Yep. But there was one night, I know I've mentioned this on Pop Talk before, but there was one night I was out in the front of our house that we lived in when I lived in California, and my dad, was in the garage talking to a few buddies, and we're all out there talking, and I'm seeing this light in the sky. It's not moving. You don't see any lights flickering on and off to indicate that it's any kind of aircraft. And it was a full moon that night. But I'm watching, and you see this light. And, I turn away at one moment, I look back, and it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to my dad, I swear that was a UFO, because he even saw it.
I'm going to Project Blue Book you. What you saw was a reflection of the full moon off of swamp gas. Along with Venus. Which Project Blue Book was.
This wasn't Venus, Baron.
Yeah,
it's much closer than Venus.
Yeah. I saw a UFO. Yeah, it was Venus. It was swamp gas. That's what they were always. It was a big joke, I saw some swamp gas last night. Well, here's the conundrum for me. And people can throw stuff at me or whatever, or say I'm crazy. I am. I scientifically and theologically both. I mean, the two different sides. I have a hard time believing in alien life. I really do, and hear me out. And now the thing is, I've seen.
Throw you out of the airlock.
I know. But and this is coming from a guy who a few years back did see a UFO that reported to MUFON. Actually, several. What they were was they looked like black balls in the sky with two antenna things coming up. Anyone who was in the airlines would know this, especially with the older planes. They look like the fire extinguishers for a Fokker F-27. Not a lot of people want to know what that is, but basically a black round ball would look like two antennae going up there, and there were 5 of them, 4 in one row, and then between the 2 inner ones was another off to the side, and they were just kind of floating through the sky, traveling. And at first, I thought they were ducks or something, some birds. Like, oh, that's unique, interesting, and it's like, wait a moment, because I live close to an airport, and of course, I worked in the airlines. So I like to always kind of look up and see what might be flying in the sky, especially the fact that we occasionally have warbirds, old warbirds that come in, and I don't want to miss that, right? But
especially when you hear the roar of those engines.
Oh yeah, you know it when you hear it. I tell you that. And yeah, they got obscured sometimes as I drive along by trees and all that, and then I got back down on the road, and I could still see them as I'm traveling down, and they're going over the Minnesota River Valley. And I'm going downhill into the valley, still watching it. Then all of a sudden, they kind of like turned silver or white, and then they were gone. No big flash, no sounds, no nothing. They just disappeared. Now, the sky was very, whatever clouds they were the wispy ones way up high. There wasn't really clouds in the sky to really sit back and say, just something to break the monotony. Nothing low at all. And so it wasn't the fact that they went and hid behind clouds. And it's like, wow, I actually see UFO. I don't know what these are. I don't know what happened to them. But, there we are. Now, where I have where the doubt, and and just because you have the doubt or whatever doesn't mean you don't have the hope, or the hope that is true. Yeah, it also sat back and said they didn't say anything about it on the other side. So that's a long-standing debate on that one. That they have on that, especially when you're dealing with original sin and such.
I'm sure you're not the only one who has these dreams, as was.
But I can let people know about my dream as it goes. And yeah, it's imaginably huge. But people in the scientific fields believe that one. In fact, if any fans of Red Dwarf will ever notice, there are no aliens in that series, because there's no aliens. It's just Earth and whatever Earth brought with them, and gilfs being not grandmas, I like to but they're genetically engineered life forms and such like that they're androids and all the various other stuff, or the evolution of being that evolved from the cat and became the cat. But what when you hear the process of what it took, according to the evolutionary field, the beginning of life, the primordial soup and all that, the odds of us coming into an existence is just almost impossible, right? You had to have that lightning strike right at the right moment to hit that primordial soup to get things going. And then the planet has to be in the Goldilocks zone. But we're not done there yet. It has to have the help things along, like a moon the size that we got. And if you ever notice, like especially when we come into eclipse and stuff like that, the sun and the moon appear to be roughly the same size. But it's because of how things are placed, gravitational, all that. So you have all these factors that not only started it, but helped maintain it. And you look at the odds, and it's like, my word, I'd own the universe if I put a dollar down on this. My returns on those odds would be just huge. And now trying to replicate this, I know how huge the galaxy is, but the chances of that happening, yeah, maybe it could, but it's extremely and very rare and rare. I mean, we're just one galaxy, or we're a solar system to say one galaxy that's part of one galactic cluster. There's lots of galactic clusters. We have a lot of void space in between these. So if there is, they may not even be anywhere close to us. I mean, not at all. We don't know. So, and well, as you sit back saying there, it's just I just don't believe in there. Now, it doesn't mean I don't want to. Right? If aliens came and landed tomorrow, I'd be so excited.
Yeah. Well, it's just really like me not believing that there are other planets existing in other dimensions, because I don't see any evidence of such a thing. That's why I don't believe in it.
Right. I mean, there comes to a point that you got to see or have something tangible to have that with. Now, what is with UFOs? There's so many others. I mean, Whitley Strieber first started out saying they're aliens. Then he started saying, I never said there were aliens, and started talking about interdimensional beings. But of course, he's the famous with, of course, Contact. Then you have, of course, the father of all ancient astronauts, Eric von Däniken, who just recently passed away. Again, influencing people like Paul Wallace and others with the ancient astronaut, Anunnaki, and such like that. And yeah, just because that there's doubts or you don't really have a solid belief or whatnot on it doesn't mean, again, that I'm poo-pooing it at all.
No, and I'm not poo-pooing.
Yeah,
the fact that somebody might believe that there are other planets in other dimensions. I'm just saying from a logical perspective until we see some kind of evidence.
Right. I mean, I know some of the theories about what we're seeing is the fact that these are time travelers that are aliens, and they're coming from our future, and the Greys are bioengineered life forms. They cannot reproduce. They're just like, genetic engineers. Yeah. Clans around Uranus again. But again, that brings out a lot of hypotheses, and it's like it's just fun to speculate and debate and such like that. I'm not going to poo-poo anybody believing in aliens.
There was a documentary a while ago, Baron, a number of years ago, on did they actually find water on Mars? And if they did, then does that mean that there was another life out there that was here before? And
there's definitely been evidence that there was water on Mars. That there's evidence that there's water underneath Mars surface.
Right.
That was really interesting. So I'm like, well, maybe there was. It's just like I can't believe we are obviously. I don't believe personally we're alone in the universe, but
yeah, I mean, I like to have that feeling. I'd love to interact with other alien life forms. Are they worth interacting with though? Who knows? I mean, you have everything that's.
You also have to ask this question: why would they want to interact with us?
Right,
a primitive, childlike species.
Right. How advanced are they? Right.
Mm-hmm. Well, I got a perfect reason for that. If you're dealing with species that's however far ahead in advance of us, who wouldn't in an anthropologist field, right? Or in this case, it'd be a xenoanthropologist. To go and watch a society at a certain stage and how it grew, and then of course try to compare it to what your society was. It'd be if we came across as we went along a planet, and say that the planet was theoretically in the 1300s, type of thing.
Oh, kind of like that Voyager episode, or even the Orville where they encountered a planet that was in the past. And because they existed in a completely different plane of, space and time, their days, their months, or years went by much quicker than those on Voyager and those on the Orville.
But even just an alien species, it doesn't even have to be, something like that. But
I'm just using that as an example.
Oh yeah, perfect example. Oh yeah, and how many that we had in Star Trek proper? From Miri to, all across the way where they came across this. But to be able to come across a society that would be Middle Ages, maybe before that, maybe Roman era type, what anthropologists wouldn't want to just watch this and see what's going on and take in? Maybe we had that. Maybe there's a lot of stuff that was, quote unquote, in the Alexandria Library that were saved because they had copies because they wanted to understand what was going on with us. So, and what would they look like? What would they be?
We might not even be able to describe them.
Exactly. So, and of course, just like, maybe an advanced society has found us, we become an advanced society and find in their society that's in our stage. Now, say they are at the age of nuclear power across the way, and they're going through their form of Cold War.
But real quick, I do want to say hello to Tim. I also want to say hello to Padawannabe and our resident science officer, DJ Ranajib.
In Eternals.
Yes.
So, that's again all part of that mystery. What? And just to poo-poo it, I have no respect. Believe it or not, I don't really have much respect for a lot of scientists or academics because a lot of them are in it for themselves. They don't want to be questioned. And then if you decide to throw some weird stuff out there, the first thing they just want to do is just blow you off and not even give any reasons. They just want to sit back and say, "Oh, you're just an idiot," and
Well,
they walk off.
it's-
Well,
They don't want to accept somebody challenging them.
That's right. They hate that. They think because their degree is so special that how dare the peons in their minds would challenge them, and so it's ridiculous. If you're an actual true scientist, I believe you need to be open about these things. So.
And going to Mr. Spock's thing in there, it's like, yeah, I mean, theologically, there is things that point that way. All you have to do is take a look at Elijah and how he was taken up into the skies because he didn't want to die. You have the book of Enoch. You have the book of Job, which is the most scientific book of the Bible. And things that they describe in there have just recently been discovered. Like, were you there when I put the sockets of the earth together? Right? And then, of course, what did we discover? The earth is basically put together like sockets. That, the foot, the pressure plates, and whatnot that we have, those things that cause Cash to get knocked out of his bed occasionally with a boom. And of course, it's like, yeah, the earth is made like that. So, how did they know that? How were they even put in there? It wasn't
like they had the advanced technology that we have today to even, send sonar down that way, or even drill down that way to, look at the different layers. I mean, you go to some place like California, and you can see the different layers of rock. And scientists have been able to figure out how old sections are.
And what you're saying there, Spock, is, yeah, his kingdom is not of this world. His kingdom is heaven. And which, of course, goes back to what I was saying before about my belief that, yes, there is parallel, or, at least other universes. And his universe, his kingdom is there, not here. This is not his kingdom. His kingdom is in another plane, another dimension, another universe. However you want to put that. And again, I guess you could start going to the scientific, going a little bit into that alien aspect of it. But it's not, because when you speak about the world, or they talk about the world, it's more than just, they didn't have the concept of other planets at that time.
They knew the stars. They didn't have the telescopes that we have to be able to see that there are other planets.
Yeah, I mean, their astronomers were also astrologers at the same time. So, that's how they look at it. So when he says it's not of this world, it's like, that's a revolutionary statement that they had at that time. And the fact that, this thing came down and took him up. Enoch, the same thing, I believe. And of course, all I have to do is look through the book of Enoch and the various things, the book of Watchers, stuff like that. And yeah, it starts, making you start wondering, but where is it? Is it this universe? Is it a different universe? So, right, you got that.
It's the things that make you go,
I love when DJ takes a little wind out of my sails, because I was going to bring that point up. That, yeah, and just like anything else, it's like, we did, there was no scientific proof there was other planets out there. It was a given, but we didn't have any proof until the 1990s. It doesn't mean that we stopped believing that there are planets out there beyond the solar system.
No, because even the modern telescopes that we have out there, like the Hubble, for example, we've been able to find other planets in other systems.
Yeah, and what else? Are we going to find anything with these rovers and whatever on Mars? Or is there going to be something else besides space rocks or whatever,
And let me throw this out there, too. If we do send a human expedition to Mars, they can't come back.
Right.
It's a one-way trip.
That's why we have
to... But say we do send humans out to Mars.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What mysteries and wonders will they find on the planet?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Right. We don't know. Mars is technically in the Goldilocks zone. I know one of the beliefs is there was a thriving ecosystem at one time on Mars, but to show but that one of the solar flares ripped it apart, which is why solar flares should not be poo-pooed at. They're incredibly destructive and can take on a planet like that. So I know that's one theory that some people have about why Mars is the way Mars is. DJ is going to be one of the first ones on that rocket too.
Probably.
Yep.
He'd be one of the better people to have on there.
Yes.
Right. And his turtles.
Yes, turtles have to come with them.
Martian turtles, yeah.
Yeah, Martian turtles. But no, we're still, obviously, we don't know yet enough about Mars to actually send a human being up there yet, so to actually land on the planets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It would
Right.
be a difficult mission to accomplish, considering how long it would take to get to Mars.
Yep. Oh, of course.
I'm not even going to poo-poo the fact that it was still difficult back in the 1960s on a computer that was no more than a calculator
Mm-hmm.
to send the lunars to the moon and land and do the research.
Right.
And I
mean,
know there are people who poo-poo the moon landing, saying it didn't actually happen.
Yeah,
I'm aware of that.
Yeah, there's still documentaries out there that said the very first moon landing didn't happen. They've made jokes about it too, of course.
Yeah.
But
Well, the thing is the absolute proof that we did make it there is Russia. Because every eye was on us going up there.
Mhm.
Especially the Russians, because those we were in a space race with. So, if we would have gone up there and not gone up there and everything was fake, they would have blew the whistle on it greatly. And if there was any proof in their files right now, don't kid yourself. Remember, Putin was KGB,
yeah,
as was Gorbachev. They would go. He would pull those records out and show, just to discredit us. Oh, the people say about the big cabal, wanting to fake. Why would they first of all want to fake that? And second of all, why would Russia, who at that time was leading in everything, beating us in everything, then concede the granddaddy of them all, setting foot on another planet or another body in space, the moon? So that right there is like the Soviet Union being what they are, how much they were an enemy, how much we're having strife today, and nothing's coming out about it, is proof enough for me to say yes, every moon landing was real.
So then the next question to you, Baron, is have we actually, as human beings, have we actually gotten everything out of the moon that we possibly can? Is there anything else that we can study up there that we haven't?
Well, yeah, I mean, you have the far side of the moon. Everybody wants to call it the dark side, but we have the far side of the moon that's been greatly neglected for many reasons. One of which the fact it's always facing away from the Earth. But they have discovered ice on the moon. Believe it or not, there is. Plus, you had that little situation back when we crashed an object into the moon intentionally, right? And the moon reverberated. It reverberated. It's like, why is it reverberating? There's another mystery right there. There are many mysteries on the moon that we have not even scratched on. These guys only were on
the moon's surface.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm curious about.
Yeah, I mean, these guys were only in a very limited little area, and all the landings were not that far from each other. What are you going to gain off of that? And then, if you go on the other side, which is very cratery, because it's like a shield, what other minerals and such are you going to find from the meteorites and such that hit the moon on that side?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there is still a lot that we could learn from the moon. We just haven't, because it was a political race, not a scientific race.
Mhm.
No science was harmed in the landing on the moon.
Well, and that's the other problem too, Baron, is like people that, say that they had these science degrees, certain people also who are on TV and whatever, talking about this stuff, like they stop believing in things like biology. So once again, how can you actually trust them with other science?
Well, let's put it this way: NASA is a political organization, not a scientific one. It's political. It's there to the whims of whatever for the politics. The International Space Station, which if we would have just done our own space station, we would have had a better one made a lot quicker. But no, we had to wait for everybody to have their little parts and to catch up so we could put it to the ISS now that they want to sit back and say we want to bring it down. Right? But again, it's all political. We're going to do this kumbaya thing. Okay, now what's going to happen? Basically, it's manned by Americans and Russians, and we have a little problem going on here. Right? So now the Chinese have theirs, which we hardly ever hear about.
That's true.
But all this is basically political.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're going to send the space shuttle up so we can look at these microbes and see how they grow in zero G. Wonderful. What else? I know there's a lot of things that get done, but we're launching space, satellites because we're basically a glorified U-Haul, and we're doing these little itty-bitty experiments. Or we do have the science module; we can do bigger ones. Or we're doing the secret launches and stuff for the military.
Well, getting back to what you said, about the space shuttle, we used to send the space shuttle to do experiments on how many different things that we take for granted here on Earth would react in the zero G environment.
Mm-hmm. Right. We found a lot of things out.
Yeah.
Like the atrophy. But to show exactly how BS it's all become, look at all the reports coming out about that Boeing capsule that went up there, and how we almost lost 2 other astronauts.
Mm-hmm. It took Elon Musk to send his own capsule up to get them back.
Right, which was
true.
a game of politics, because they could have come back sooner if the administration there wasn't playing politics games and letting.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. You got to get these, inner politics stuff out of this,
Right.
if you want to advance.
Right.
I kind of sat back and said, if we would have kept on going on as eager as possible with the space program, I can see all but 2 things happening that could have happened that you had with 2001. I believe we could have had a spacecraft heading out to Jupiter, or in the book it was Saturn, but in the movie it was Jupiter. We wouldn't have had the cryo sleep, and we wouldn't have had the supercomputer like HAL. Right? But look how things are going with the computers today. Who knows where that could be? But we could have been going beyond Mars, exploring in the solar system. The ship probably would have looked more like the Leonov, and that's exactly what Arthur C. Clarke sat back and said. He said, we kind of made a mistake. The Discovery should have been the Leonov, and when we did, 2010, the Discovery, the Leonov should have been the Discovery, and to show the differences, because it was such a backward step in technology. But yeah, I truly believe we could have been farther along in the space exploration if we just didn't stop. But we did.
So somebody else is going to have to take up the mantle then, Baron, right?
Because politics got in the way.
Right.
Right. And politics, as we know, can get in the way with a lot of things, even things that, there's a lot of, I don't know. We just don't hear more about space lately. We do here and there, but I don't know.
Right.
Before it seems like we heard more.
And let's talk about another frontier. What's deep within the ocean? Yes, we've been able to map the ocean pretty well by now, but there's still many mysteries of the deep,
Yes.
especially the further down you go.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, is there really something out there like Atlantis? Probably not, but maybe there is. And if you do and believe in there, there's nothing wrong with that. The problem is that, especially nowadays, we just got these people, because of their elitist attitudes, that they don't want to be open about more of this stuff. They want to. It's closed-minded to think that, because there's still people out there. It's like, who cares about if we land on another planet? Who cares if we do this? Who cares? And I just think that attitude is very just narrow-minded. I mean, people can have it, and I understand why they do, but
Well, I was just hearing the other day on the news where they found this spot that looks like it goes deep, deep, deep in the ocean, deeper than they could ever imagine. I think they were calling it like the dot or the blue dot or something like that. I can't remember, but I just heard it briefly and whatnot. It's like, oh, I got to look into this and see more about what they're asking. But we'll think about it this way: we have currents of fresh water in the ocean. You have just where you have freshwater fish way out in the ocean because they're following those currents of whatever it is underneath the fissures coming up and bringing enough fresh water for them to live.
right.
That in and by itself should be amazing. People should back and go, wow. Well, you don't hear about it.
I don't know if we still have yet the technology to go deep, 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 into the water. I mean, I don't even think we're able to, even all the books and so on, the pictures and so on of like the Titanic, and we saw what happened with those people who had a lot of money, and then we saw how cheap things were and people died, which is too bad. Other people said they got what they deserve. I don't know how I feel about that, but I think that's cruel. But
you mentioned the Titanic crash. Everybody asks, well, how come we don't see at least some bones from the bodies of the people who unfortunately perished that night in April of 1912. And the reason for that is because over time, the pressure at that level of the ocean, 1,200 feet down, it's going to basically turn the bones into powder and dust.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have several things working against you with that. The fact that you have the basically the brine
and also the currents.
The brine of the water eating away at the bones, which you can have a human skeleton disappear in a matter of just a few years in the Caribbean because it's warm, or Caribbean, whichever you want to call it, because it's a warm brine, and the basically if there's something down there, bones, they would be eroded down slower in the cold water. But considering how long the Titanic's been there, again, the other factors you were saying, the depth and all that, and let's not be cruel. There's a lot of fishies that got their bellies full, so you got those factors in there. Now,
I did want to kind of give my thoughts on this question that Jet has: is are they hoping to get the ISS down from orbit so they can put it in the National Air and Space Museum, because that would be cool to see? I wouldn't be surprised, Jet, if they decide to let it burn up in orbit.
That's what they're going to do, just like they did with Mir. Remember when Taco Bell had that thing where they had the big target out in the middle of the ocean where it's supposed to crash, and if it hits there, you get whatever tacos for free. And they're going to do the same. They did it with Skylab. They did it with the Soyuz, or Salyuts. I mean, they did it with the with Mir, and that's what they're going to do with this. They're just going to it's going to look up in the sky. It's going to look like Star Trek 3. Now, bringing up that part about Atlantis is just, remember one thing. Every legend, every mythology, whatever, has a grain of truth to it. It's just what has it evolved into. Robert E. Howard actually had an interesting take on Atlantis because Call the Conqueror or Call the King was an Atlantean. But Atlantis was a land of barbarians. It was not this sophisticated, super futuristic society. And it went under. So Atlantis could be one of many things, but, I don't think it was this super state as we talk about. Some people think that they may have found it south of Morocco because of some of the how this area, which used to have water in it, corresponds to the description of how Atlantis was laid out.
Mm-hmm.
What they found out there. Again, it's a theory, but the Sahara at one time had water.
Yep.
And whatnot in this area, so there could have been a global catastrophe that wiped out that city, and boom, they may have been slightly ahead of probably the others in some technological fields. Boom. But I do believe there was an Atlantis, but not what it's become, especially with the New Agers and science fiction and whatnot. I think I think Robert E. Howard was actually closer to what the Atlanteans were probably like than anything else.
And real quick, I do want to bring up something that I do know about not Mars, but Venus. Whenever we have sent, satellites to Venus, or we've landed something on the surface of Venus, especially when we landed something on the surface of Venus, it doesn't last very long because of the gravity and the heat.
Mm-hmm. And the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're talking about minutes. And the Russians have, and they brought back some pictures on that. I think they even brought sounds from Venus, and it's like,
mm-hmm. Yeah, there was that one video released where you heard the sounds from Venus.
Mm-hmm. And again, when they got the sounds from the black holes. I mean, when, again, in the Bible, they're talking about how the stars sing, and people laughed at it. It's in space. How do stars sing? And then in 1923, I think, 21 or 23, some guy was putting up an array on top of a hill for radio, all of a sudden starts getting these weird signals, and they're coming from space. And he was absolutely convinced he found alien communications. Aliens are communicating up there. We're getting alien communications. What he really did was come up with the first radio telescope, and that's what it is. Radio telescope, all that's doing is listening to star song, our black hole song, our nebula song, because they're very chatty up there. Extremely chatty. And of course, I believe that was in Job where they're talking about the stars singing.
Mm-hmm.
So again, and that's the thing. It's how do these cultures in the past, whether it's Judaic, or you start taking a look into Mesopotamian societies, various stuff like that. How do they have some of these nuggets of just absolute scientific knowledge that we're just discovering?
Mm-hmm.
They're finding out. They're looking at star charts that Africans out in the savannah had, and now they're finding out, hey, we've just discovered these. This is a star chart. We just didn't know about it because we couldn't see them.
Yep. There are many wonders of this planet that we still haven't discovered yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, what about going into the rainforest and the things that we've been able to discover there, the different species of animal life we've been able to discover, plant life.
Mm-hmm. Right. There are things in there that we haven't discovered. I know that there was a time in the 70s, again, we're talking about the craze. Some people were claiming that in these dense areas of these forests and jungles, there were dinosaurs. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, they could hide in there. Whether I believe it or not, that's beside the point.
Mm-hmm.
But
We
yeah, I
know
mean,
that there are big snakes down there, and you don't want to mess with them.
well, yeah, I mean, sometimes you know, if you can get your hands on some of these Vietnam vets that were deep in the boonies and into the jungles, they'll talk about things that you know that they saw. In fact, there's that one deer-like creature, that deer-like animal that has like gills, that was recently discovered not too long ago. Of course, some of the veterans are saying about it and they were laughed at, but you know, it's like, whoa, this, you know, we just discovered this new creature. You know, we didn't know this existed. It just walked out of the jungle one day going, yeah, you know, you guys are kind of making a lot of noise over here in Laos. Can you stop it?
And Helion's asking, why do people feel that Mars would be the best planet to have if we needed to, because of its proximity to Earth?
Right. I mean, Venus would be perfect if it wasn't for the fact that it's a killer methane atmosphere, the extreme high pressure, the extreme temperature, the you know you know, everything around it, because that's, you know, our size. You know, it is our twin. But Mars, they feel, would be the best one, even though it's smaller, to be able to terraform and bring back into some form of living without domes.
That's
Yeah,
if we could
and Venus is
actually do
closer.
the terraforming.
Right. And there's many books on it, you know, that they talk about. Even Babylon 5, you know, you're seeing Mars being in the early forms of terraforming, where they're able to go out without spacesuits, but they still needed something to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And no, if you walked out on on Mars today, you wouldn't have the effect that Arnold Schwarzenegger had in Total Recall.
No. They just did that for the movie.
Yeah. And same thing with Outland with Sean Connery. You know, when they walked out into space, or their spacesuit got ruptured and all of a sudden they explode. Doesn't happen. All for the movie.
Unfortunately, you would suffocate and die.
Yep. You'd freeze dry. I mean, if you're out in space and all that, you'd essentially freeze dry.
Yeah.
Which is the basis of, again, Arthur C. Clarke's book 3001. That's how Gary Lockwood came back. He was, in a sense, floating out there for 1,000 years. He was freeze dried, and they were able to bring him back because of that. So.
No, there's always been those pictures of Bigfoot. I mean, Bigfoot's sitting on the panel right now.
Well, it's interesting though. Why does our government, our national park service and such, have listed on like endangered animals, or what's in these forests in Sasquatch is on there, like it's a real thing? It's like, this is odd. Why did you put him on there? And it's like Peter Mayhew when they were filming in California in the redwood forests. They had to make sure people were around him because they were afraid someone might think he was a Bigfoot and shoot him.
Yeah, they had to be very careful.
But there have been many odd sounds that have been recorded out there that they don't know what it is. It's nothing that they currently know of that makes these sounds. And of course, you've had many sightings, and Sasquatch goes back ages. So, there's, are we dealing with a dumb ape? Are we dealing with something that is somewhat sapient and has some brains? If it has some brains,
we don't know.
To hide. Right. And it's easier to be able to go and hide and such. Some people sit back and say, they see when they saw it, they saw intelligence. And they see more of something that's trying to be defensive and protective than actually aggressive. It will be aggressive if it's they'll be aggressive for protecting, but they might make a big show and try to scare you away, but they don't actually necessarily attack. So, which is kind of an interesting point that a lot of these people are saying. A lot of times it's curiosity when they say they come across a Bigfoot. Sometimes it's the old joke where they come across each other, both scream and both run the other direction.
Mm-hmm.
You know? There's been those stories. So, what is it? I don't know. And a lot of these woods, I tell you, you can lose things in these woods. It's up in the boundary waters in Minnesota here. Don't kid yourself. You could go in there and never be seen again. And live a nice long life.
We mentioned Bigfoot. What about the legend of the Loch Ness monster?
Mm-hmm.
Old Nessie there.
Right. The deep dark lake that Loch Ness is. Our Lake Champlain. Can't forget Lake Champlain.
Mm-hmm.
They have their own Nessie. So, what is it? Yeah, and people will sometimes say, well, we found these fraud pictures and such. Well, yeah, but that doesn't answer everything. If all you're going to do is start only looking at the one and ignoring the others, what type of research is that?
It's like, paleontologists who found the first dinosaur bones and
right.
Trying to figure out, okay, what was this?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I could imagine that in the day, someone coming across, back in the Middle Ages and such, come across dinosaur bones, they'd think it was a dragon bone. And maybe they're not too far off, a giant reptile, But why do we have dragons in every known society?
Exactly. Because somewhere, somebody found skeletal remains of a dinosaur.
Mm-hmm. But every society, the Chinese, Europeans, the list goes on, have dragons somewhere in their past.
Mm-hmm.
And they are far apart. And why is it? Why do this all go about it? Why do we have pyramids all over the world?
Well, not only that, who built the pyramids?
Right. And I know someone was putting in there about the Sphinx. And absolutely right. The Sphinx is older than the pyramids by many thousand years. And it shows water erosion of when that area was more, I wouldn't say tropical, but more, more moist, you could say.
Yeah.
More wet.
Well, we can't, speaking of that, we're still looking for these bodies that, of course, with these grave diggers and so on over the years have probably moved this stuff. They still can't find Cleopatra's body. They're working on it. You got these, the Discovery show. You got that, the Expedition Unknown and some of this other stuff, and they just haven't found these things. And I think because this stuff has been moved, and I mean, it would be amazing if they actually find her actual body.
Well, you think about the pyramids themselves too, Cash.
Yes.
We haven't mapped them completely out. Even after all these years, there's still rooms we can't get into.
Yeah, it's
well,
crazy.
Not only that, now they're finding these things deep down underneath the pyramids.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, don't brush this aside, science. There's something there. You're impeding science by ignoring this. What is going on here?
Right.
All because of your ego.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And because
that's usually what it always is. Right. It's the ego and stuff. So
it's amazing how they sit back and say that, the people, the populace, us peons, us peasants, wouldn't be able to handle it if this stuff, if things come out, true. I say it's the academics that can't.
No.
They see it and they all of a sudden
they don't want to be proven wrong.
Right.
Right. they can't comprehend, and they're the ones that are going nuts, while we'll probably be the ones that are most accepting of it and excited about it. But yeah, when you have scientists going out there and their main goal is to discredit, I'm doing this report just so I can discredit somebody. Well, how's that advancing science? Case in point, the Vinland map. The Vinland map is real. It was given a there was a special special craft. I don't know what it is, where they can go layer by layer, even underneath the ink. And everyone sat back and said, well, when they did the first test, which was a very accurate test, mind you, for its time, it was basically inked about the era that it was put inside the book. Well, knowing that there's things called leaching, which the ink did, and when they did that analyzing, they could see where the leaching stopped, and then it's like, oh, now this is older. This map is authentic.
Yeah.
And the guy who went out there to discredit the Vinland map, he did it specifically to discredit the 6 or 7 scientists or historians or whatever they were, specifically to discredit them and nothing more. No. And when they were interviewing him, he was all smug and all. You just wanted to punch through the TV at the guy.
Yeah.
Right? Well, it's like, this. You're not doing anything to help here. You're harming,
right,
what you have going on there. And the same thing, now let's take a look. Let's go to another mystery here in the same area, the Shroud of Turin, right? And they're sitting back saying, oh, this is a fabrication of these monks of this time. And they bothered the monks over and over and over again. We want a sample of it. We want a sample of it so we can prove it. And the monks, they don't care. No, we don't need to have proof for what we got. We know what this is, right? Mm-hmm. So finally, the monks gave in and gave them a piece of, a little sample of the fabric. Now, to quote Paul Harvey, the rest of the story, the way back in the day, the Shroud of Turin was in a fire, and it was folded up, and parts of it, the edges, got singed or burned off. So these monks went and they patched it up with the linen of that time. That the scientists sit back and say, oh, see, this linen is from that time period. This is a proof that it's a false. No, they played you.
Right. Yeah.
Because to them, that wasn't sacred and holy. They weren't going to take the sacred and holy tapestry or shroud and let you destroy it. That's beyond heretical.
Right.
No, they'll give you the thing that wasn't and then laugh at you.
Yeah.
They did.
What you were saying, Spock, I mean, it is, you bring up that point about aliens, and then Trump said that Obama shouldn't have said that, and I have to release this. I think what it also proved, that I think Obama and Trump may want to do a show on aliens together, personally, because they seem to both care about it.
Yeah. Well, they're probably hitting the old ganja there, DJ. But we only had one president to ever admit seeing a UFO, and that was James Earl Ray Carter Jr. Well, it wasn't Ray, James Earl Carter Jr. Back in the time, he admitted he saw a UFO, and there was chuckles over it.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
he still stuck to his guns. He saw something. He didn't know what it was. So
I real quick, Spock, I know you're not trying to start anything political. You're asking a question, brother. You're asking a reasonable question.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, it's these little things that give outs to be able to release things. And again, what is there to be afraid of if you have proof that there is life from other planets?
Right.
And that we have been visited. Again, us plebes, even religious people, because, as others from Art Bill, Paul Walls, it all depends, went down, whatever, the Vatican has been preparing for that. They've had symposiums on that to talk to the various padres and such about if or when we do get contacted by alien life. So this is even going up to the Holy See, that they're looking at, preparing for the inevitable visitation, you might say. So, I mean, yeah, will people freak out? Yeah, but not as much as, unless, of course, they come down hostile. Then everybody's going to be up in arms. But I don't think it will be Independence Day. It doesn't make sense. The 1950s movies and such, where the aliens come down and do all this stuff and whatnot, just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I mean,
it
right. Well, it freaked people out. Look at the whole thing with Orson Welles, and people actually, unfortunately, committed suicide because of his voice was so powerful and all this craziness. But yeah, I remember.
Well, a lot of that was overhyped.
Oh, of course, I'm sure it was.
Well, overhyped.
But yeah, I mean, he did have a powerful voice. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, I just. I don't care what it is. Like, I think these conversations, that's why, we used to explore this more, which good stories about sci-fi and good stories about other shows, and I feel we've gotten away from that, and we used to make more people think about these things, Baron. And now it's like they throw this stuff in there that is just ridiculous, instead of really making people think.
Right. Well, yeah, science fiction in general. I mean, all across the board. Yeah,
exactly.
Shameless plug, be on the lookout for Pops and I talk about Rollerball. That's going to be a perfect example when he finally gets it out there. So, yeah, I had to put this, and I'll also be appearing at these locales if you wish to. Tickets can be got. No, but you got those situations, and of course they think we're stupid when all it does is all you have to do is just take a couple just sit back. You don't need to take a step back, just go like this, going really, well, you have this, if you have someone who truly believes in connections and how things flow and the history of stuff, you can deflate anybody's argument in those aspects. Again, is the Shroud of Turin real? I don't know. All I know is the monks played the scientists. We look at crop circles back in the day, and we knew there were people out there doing false crop circles. And then you had those two Hunyucks in Britain that came forward and said they did all these crop circles. The thing is the experts knew they did it. Why? Well, one, the differences. A true crop circle, the crops actually are bent. Like something happened on a level, genetic level, that caused them to lay down and make these intricate patterns. The ones that these guys were doing, they were going in with the board and just mashing down, so the stalks were breaking, and they could only do what we would say basic geometrical shapes, nothing intricate. Plus, they had no ability to be going all over the places where this was all showing up. And when you did have it, the first thing that people would do, the one researcher would do, was check to see the stocks. If they were broken, they knew they had a false one. If it was not and was bent, natural bending, they knew they okay, we got something here. Let's dive into a little bit more. Of course, this is stuff that they were ignoring to tell people because they wanted so quick to debunk it and just go off. It doesn't answer the questions when a guy is flying over a field, they're not there, and like 30 minutes later he's flying back, and all of a sudden here's this intricate crop circle, and these guys can't work that fast. So what's the mystery of the crop circle? Or circles? Or let's be even let's go beyond that and be truthful, more truthful about it. Geometric shapes, because it was more than just circles. So, again, that's where you start looking at the quote unquote scientists, experts, stuff like that, and shake your head and you don't trust them. I don't trust them. Project Blue Book right there should make anyone in ufology distrustful of the quote unquote experts.
Yeah, I just, we limit ourselves, and I agree with you, Baron. It's a lot of arrogance and it's egos. It's like, oh, we can't handle this and stuff, and we stifle our own the human race by doing these things, and it's not
Right.
it's not smart. I would love there to be more shows about exploring the oceans and how far can we go down to the ocean, and that would be awesome. I don't know. For me, that stuff has always been interesting, and we've even seen it in cartoons, Baron, years ago. Because somebody,
Even our most advanced naval submarines could only go so deep.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And the thing is as much people fascinated by the Titanic and all that, I was even more fascinated by the sunken find that they had prior to that, and that was the Bismarck. In fact, I got my book on the Bismarck right over here, about them finding it and everything on that. And it's like, that was a big wow. And then, of course, it's followed up with the Titanic, which would have more interest in people because, of course, it was such a, great, and in some ways folklore, because there's so many things that became folklore out of that than truth as well. Which one was? Oh, the HMS Cerberus and the Terror. Oh, yeah, the Terror. And of course, the Bismarck. Gotta sink the Bismarck. Yeah, that was a great song.
Yeah, and it's interesting, you think about the Titanic, how, that wreck, of course, is decaying as years go by. But considering how deep it is in the ocean, it's taken a much longer process compared to ships like the Carpathia or the Lusitania or any other ship out there who didn't sink in such deep waters.
Right. Or the famous one up here, the Emmett Fitzgerald. She broke in half. Her aft part was upside down. Her fore half was right side up.
Yeah. And, even along the coast of the Carolinas, they're still fighting wrecks of old pirate ships.
Right.
Yeah, and that's awesome. I want to see more of that kind of stuff. They need to fund more of these shows and whatever. I mean, there's some of this stuff, this unsolved mysteries, so on, but I don't know. It's like you said, Baron, it gets political. It needs to stay apolitical. Politics needs to get out of this. We need to actually think about these things more. We can't. Politics just, in a lot of ways, unfortunately, ruins everything. It's easier to take a side, but no, we need to open our minds up and see how. I just would love to see more of this stuff exploring things. I remember in science class and so on, back in the day, like in junior high and so on, they were talking about a lot of interesting things, including like sharks, and why, these poachers and so on do these things. It was very like interesting, but there's just a lot of things we can find out in the ocean. I know we probably are, but I don't know. I feel like certain things are just not being funded enough.
Well, it depends on who's being funded by, honestly.
Right, exactly.
What is behind.
True.
I mean, a scientist should be going out there, or a historian, or anybody, or anthropologist, it doesn't matter, to advance what has been discovered. And if you think there is an error someplace in there, to work on that, which is not discrediting anybody, is the fact that, hey, we got more accurate equipment now. We can take it to the next step. And that should be what's on all their minds. I mean, Einstein's theory of relativity is being picked apart today. because of errors with stuff that Einstein didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why, of course, it's still a theory. Because nothing's been proven out of it. It's still being worked on. It doesn't mean it's not viable. It's not saying it's not important, but it's still a work in progress. And if you do it, just like we say about continue on our favorite IPs. Hey, John Rendell, the world's my great super.
Hey,
Good to see
what's up,
you.
dude?
Yes,
Good to see
Mr.
you.
Rendell.
Good to see you, John.
It's good to see
Big
also
train guy.
earlier. I don't
Yep,
know
had it. Yeah.
badass that well, but I will try to get to know him better.
He told me to keep you away from him. I'm
Sure.
kidding.
I know.
But
Yeah.
everything should be about advancing with what we got for knowledge.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that you're trying to discredit or saying that the other guy was wrong.
Right.
What was the reason why the church believed the sun revolved around the earth, and they stood so strongly to it? It was not religiously or theologically or theocratically, but that was a scientific Greek theory and belief that held on for so long. So what did you have? You had the church following the science.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody wants to get down on the church, the church was only doing what everyone was screaming and yelling, everybody should be doing, following the science. Well, that was the science of its day. Of course, they were going to buck Galileo and the others on that until they were able to absolutely prove their point.
All right.
And that should be the point. And yeah, you're going to find resistance, but there shouldn't be resistance if people are coming forward with stuff that makes sense, not wacko crazy gobbledygook.
Out of left field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nonsense.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Because I know the church, they love to pick on the church for that, but it's like, yeah, that goes back a little bit further, and it wasn't a religious belief. It was, a scientific belief. Just like Tacticus believing that if you went far enough north, they could actually see the heads of the horses that are pulling the moon and the sun. And that was out of the Germania, his work, the Germania. And which was, it was a good a piece about the people, but needless to say, the science there was.
Yeah. Now, there is one mystery that I've always been intrigued by, and I mentioned it earlier, and I'm going to bring up this article I found prior to today's show that was posted on December 31st of last year that talks about a mystery that's always fascinated me, and that's the Bermuda Triangle.
Mm-hmm.
It says the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle, where fear, fascination, and fact collide. And this is done by the editors of Science News Today, from Science News Today, originally posted on December 31st, 2025. Few places on Earth have captured the human imagination quite like the Bermuda Triangle. Mention its names, and images arise almost instantly. Ships vanishing without a trace, aircraft swallowed by the sky, compasses spinning wildly, as if possessed by unseen forces. That's another topic I want to ask everybody about, but I'll do so after we're done here.
Okay.
It is a region wrapped in fog, not just weather, but of myth, fear, storytelling. For decades, the Bermuda Triangle has existed at the uneasy boundary between science and superstition, between what we know and what we suspect, between rational explanation and emotional mystery. And I'll go ahead and put this link to this article in the chat for anyone who wishes to follow along. And then I'll continue reading the article. All right. Yet, the true story of the Bermuda Triangle is far more complex, and in many ways more fascinating than tales of supernatural forces or alien abductions. It is a story about human psychology, natural forces, navigation, history, and the powerful human urge to find meaning in uncertainty. To understand the Bermuda Triangle is not just to investigate a patch of the ocean, but to explore how myths are born, why they endure, and how science patiently, methodically works to separate truth from illusion. Defining the Bermuda Triangle, a place without borders. One of the most curious aspects of the Bermuda Triangle is that it has no official boundaries. Unlike countries or seas defined by international agreement, the Bermuda Triangle exists primarily in imagination and popular culture. It is generally described as a triangular area of the western North Atlantic Ocean, with points often sited near Miami in Florida, Bermuda in the north, and San Juan in Puerto Rico in the south. But these points vary depending on the source, and no governing body recognizes the region as distinct or dangerous. The lack of clear definition is not a trivial detail. It is essential to understanding the mystery itself. When an area has vague borders, it becomes easier to include incidents that fit a dramatic narrative and exclude those that do not. Over time, the Bermuda Triangle expanded and contracted, not based on geography, but on storytelling needs. Ships lost far outside the region were sometimes retroactively placed within it, while countless safe journeys through the same waters went unmentioned. Despite the ambiguity, the waters associated with the Bermuda Triangle are real, heavily traveled, and economically vital. They contain some of the busiest shipping lanes in the world, as well as a major flight paths connecting North America, South America, Europe. Every day, countless vessels and aircraft cross this region without incident, guided by modern navigation systems and centuries of accumulated maritime knowledge. The origins of the legend, from exploration to sensation. The Bermuda Triangle did not emerge fully formed as a mystery. Its legend grew gradually, shaped by historical events, cultural anxieties, and the rise of mass media. Early explorers of the Atlantic did report strange experiences, but these accounts were often misunderstood or exaggerated in hindsight. Christopher Columbus himself noted unusual compass readings during his voyages, observing that the needle did not always point directly north. At the time, this was unsettling, but today it's understood as a result of magnetic variation. The difference between true north and magnetic north. Such variations are normal and predictable, but to early navigators, they felt ominous, and you can understand why, especially not knowing what we know now, not having the technology that we have now. The modern Bermuda Triangle legend began to take shape in the mid-20th century, when writers began collecting stories of disappearances and presenting them as evidence of a single, unified mystery. Magazine articles and books emphasized the most dramatic cases, often stripping them of context or altering details to heighten suspense. Over time, the region acquired a reputation not because of an increase in actual incidents, but because of an increase in attention. This period coincided with broader cultural shifts. The world had experienced devastating wars, rapid technological change, and the dawn of the atomic age. There was a growing sense that humanity had unlocked forces it did not fully understand. Against this backdrop, the idea of a place where technology failed and nature reclaimed its dominance felt deeply resonant. Famous disappearances and power of narrative. No discussion of the Bermuda Triangle is complete without addressing the famous disappearances that cemented its reputation. Among the most cited is the loss of Flight 19, a group of 5 U.S. Navy training aircraft that vanished in 1945 during a routine exercise. The story, as often told, involves confused pilots, malfunctioning compasses, and a final radio transmission filled with panic before silence fell. The emotional power of this narrative is undeniable. Young pilots, trained and disciplined, lost to an invisible force in familiar waters. Yet a closer examination reveals a far more grounded explanation. Investigations suggest that the flight leader became disoriented, misidentified his position, and led the group away from land as fuel ran low. Weather conditions worsened, communication broke down, and the planes likely ditched into the ocean. The sea, vast and unforgiving, left little physical evidence behind. Other cases, often cited as evidence of the triangle's danger, follow similar patterns. Ships lost during storms, vessels abandoned for reasons that remain unclear, aircraft that crashed due to mechanical failure or human error. When these incidents are removed from their dramatic framing and examined individually, they resemble accidents that occur in oceans all over the world. What transforms these events into mysteries is not their nature, but the way they are told. Details are selectively emphasized. Uncertainties are portrayed as impossibilities, and gaps in evidence are filled with speculation. Over time, reputation gives these stories an air of truth that can be difficult to challenge. Weather in the Atlantic, a natural explanation. One of the most compelling scientific explanations for the incidents associated with the Bermuda Triangle lies in the region's weather. The western North Atlantic is known for its rapidly changing conditions, powerful storms, and complex ocean currents. These forces are not supernatural, but they are formidable. The Gulf Stream, a strong and fast-moving ocean current, flows through parts of the area commonly associated with the triangle. This current can carry debris far from the site of the accident, complicating search and recovery efforts. A ship or aircraft that goes down may leave little trace, not because it vanished mysteriously, but because the ocean redistributed the evidence. Storms in this region can develop quickly, especially during hurricane season. Sudden squalls, towering waves, and violent winds pose serious risks to vessels, particularly in earlier eras when weather forecasting was limited. Even today, despite advanced satellite monitoring, weather remains one of the most significant hazards faced by mariners and pilots. From a scientific perspective, the Atlantic does not behave unusually in this region compared to other major oceanic crossroads. Similar conditions exist in the South China Sea, the Indian Ocean, and the Southern Ocean, all of which have their own histories of maritime disasters. The difference is that these areas lack a unifying legend to capture the public attention. Navigation, magnetism, and human error. Navigation is both a science and an art, and throughout history it has been vulnerable to error. Many myths surrounding the Bermuda Triangle focus on the idea of magnetic anomalies causing compasses to malfunction. While Earth's magnetic field does vary across the globe, these variations are well mapped and understood. The concept of a place where compasses point to true north rather than magnetic north has often been presented as evidence of something strange. In reality, this phenomenon, known as agonic lines, occurs in several places around the world and shifts over time. It does not cause compasses to spin wildly or fail outright. Navigators who understand magnetic variation can account for it accurately. Human error remains one of the most common causes of accidents at sea and in the air. Fatigue, miscommunication, misinterpretation of instruments, and poor decision making under stress can have fatal consequences. When such errors occur in remote or hostile environments, the results can appear mysterious, especially when survivors are absent to tell their story. In the context of the Bermuda Triangle, human error has often been downplayed in favor of more dramatic explanations. This tendency reflects a discomfort with the idea that skilled individuals can make mistakes with irreversible consequences. It is often easier to blame an external force than to accept the fragility of human judgment. The psychological mystery of why we believe. The enduring appeal of the Bermuda Triangle cannot be explained by geography or science alone. It is deeply rooted in human psychology. People are drawn to mysteries, especially those that suggest hidden forces or unknown dimensions of reality. Such stories provide a sense of wonder in an increasingly mapped and measured world. Confirmation bias plays a powerful role. Once people believe that the Bermuda Triangle is dangerous, they tend to notice and remember incidents that support this belief while ignoring contradictory evidence. Safe journeys do not make headlines, but disappearances do. Over time, this selective attention reinforces the myth. There is also an emotional component. The ocean represents both life and death, beauty and terror. It is vast, indifferent, and capable of swallowing human creations without a trace. The Bermuda Triangle serves as a focal point for these emotions, a symbol of nature's ultimate power over human ambition. Additionally, mystery stories often thrive in the absence of clear waters. When evidence is incomplete, imagination fills the gaps. Each unanswered question becomes an invitation to speculate, and speculation, repeated often enough, can begin to feel like fact. Media, pop culture, and making a legend. The rise of mass media played a crucial role in transforming the Bermuda Triangle from a collection of unrelated incidents into a global phenomenon. Books, documentaries, films, and television shows presented the mystery in increasingly dramatic terms. Sensational titles promised secrets, cover-ups, and forces beyond scientific understanding. These portrayals often sacrificed accuracy for entertainment. Incidents were misstated, locations altered, and outcomes exaggerated. In some cases, ships that were reported missing were later found or had never been lost at all. Yet corrections rarely received the same attention as the original claims. Pop culture further amplified the legend by associating the Bermuda Triangle with science themes such as time warps, underwater civilizations, extraterrestrial interference. While entertaining, these ideas blurred the line between speculation and evidence, making it harder for audiences to distinguish myth from reality. The persistence of these narratives demonstrates the power of storytelling. Once a story captures the public imagination, it can become resistant to correction. Science, which advances through careful analysis and cautious conclusions, often struggles to complete the bold, emotionally charged myths. Scientific investigations and what they reveal. Over the years, scientists, historians, and navigators have carefully examined claims associated with the Bermuda Triangle. Their findings constantly point toward ordinary explanations rooted in natural processes and human behavior. Statistical analysis of shipping and aviation records show no higher rate of accidents in the Bermuda Triangle than in comparable regions of the ocean. Insurance companies, which have a strong financial incentive to assess risks, accurately do not classify the area as unusually dangerous. If the region truly posed a unique threat, it would be reflected in higher premiums or restricted routes. Oceanographers and meteorologists have mapped the currents, depths, and weather patterns of the area in detail. While complex and sometimes hazardous, these features are well within the range of known oceanic behavior. There is no evidence of mysterious forces or anomalies that could selectively cause disappearances. From a scientific standpoint, the Bermuda Triangle serves as a case study in how myths can arise when limited information, emotional storytelling, and cognitive biases converge. It highlights the importance of critical thinking and the need to evaluate claims based on evidence rather than repetition. The role of uncertainty and the limits of knowledge. One reason the Bermuda Triangle myth persists is that the ocean remains a challenging environment to study. Even with modern technology, large areas of the seafloor remain unmapped, and accidents can occur without leaving clear evidence. The uncertainty creates space for speculation. Science does not claim to have all the answers. It acknowledges gaps in knowledge and works to reduce them through observation and experimentation. In contrast, myths often present uncertainty as evidence of hidden truths. The absence of explanation becomes proof of something extraordinary. Understanding this distinction is crucial. Accepting uncertainty does not mean abandoning rational inquiry. On the contrary, it is the foundation of scientific progress. The history of the Bermuda Triangle illustrates that what happens when uncertainty is exploited rather than explored. The Bermuda Triangle as a mirror of humanity. In the end, the Bermuda Triangle tells us as much about ourselves as it does about the ocean. It reveals our fear of the unknown, our attraction to mystery, and our tendency to favor dramatic explanations over mundane ones. It shows how stories can shape perception, and how perception can shape belief. The real mystery is not why ships and planes have been lost in the Atlantic, but why one particular region became a symbol of the inexplicable. The answer lies in a complex interplay of history, psychology, media, and timeless human desire to believe that there is more to the world than meets the eye. And no, Baron, I wasn't going to make a certain franchise reference there.
Don't worry, I didn't think you were.
Science does not speak to strip the world of wonder. On the contrary, it reveals a universe that is most intricate and awe-inspiring than myths alone could imagine. The winds, currents, and forces at work in the Atlantic are not less impressive because they are understood. They are more so because they connect us to the same natural laws that govern the entire planet. Science versus myth, a necessary tension. The tension between science and myth is not unique to the Bermuda Triangle. It appears wherever human curiosity meets uncertainty. Myths often meaning and emotional resonance, while science offers explanation and predictive power. Both emerge from the same fundamental impulse to understand the world. Problems arise when myth is mistaken for fact or when emotional narratives overshadow evidence, and that has happened in many instances around the world, where there's a myth about what happened compared to the reality of what actually happened. The Bermuda Triangle demonstrates how easily this can happen, especially when stories are repeated without scrutiny. Yes, it also shows the resilience of scientific inquiry, which continues to test, question, and refine our understanding. Science does not dismiss mystery, it reframes it. Instead of asking what supernatural force caused the disappearance, it asks what conditions were present, what decisions were made, and what evidence remains. These questions may not always lead to dramatic answers, but they lead closer to truth. The enduring legacy of the Bermuda Triangle. Despite decades of scientific explanation, the Bermuda Triangle remains embedded in popular culture. New generations encounter the legend through books, films, and online content, often without exposure to the critical analysis that challenge it. The mystery, once established, takes on a life of its own, and it certainly has. This persistence is not necessarily a failure of science. It reflects the complexity of human belief and the emotional power of storytelling. Myths fulfill psychological needs that facts alone may not satisfy. They offer a sense of wonder, danger, and transcendence that resonates deeply. Yet there is also value in revisiting these stories with a critical eye. Doing so does not diminish their intrigue. Instead, it enriches our understanding of how knowledge evolves and how easily it can be shaped by narrative. What the Bermuda Triangle ultimately teaches us. The true lesson of the Bermuda Triangle is not that the world is filled with inexplicable dangers, but that understanding requires patience, humility, and skepticism. It teaches us to question dramatic claims, to seek evidence, and to recognize the influence of our own biases. It also reminds us of the I'm sorry. It also reminds us of the ocean's power and the respect it commands. Even without supernatural forces, the sea remains a place of risk and wonder, capable of humbling the most advanced technologies. Acknowledging this reality fosters caution and respect rather than fear. In separating science from myth, we do not lose mystery. We gain a deeper, more meaningful one. The real mystery lies in how the universe operates with such complexity and consistency, and how human beings, fragile and curious, continue to explore it. Conclusion between imagination and reality. The Bermuda Triangle exists in two forms. One is a region of ocean governed by well-understood natural laws crossed safely every day by ships and planes. The other is a powerful idea shaped by fear, fascination, and the human love of mystery. These two versions coexist, sometimes uneasily, in our collective imagination. Science offers clarity, not by dismissing mystery, but by grounding it in evidence. Myth offers emotional depth, reminding us that knowledge alone does not satisfy all human needs. The challenge is to appreciate the beauty of storytelling without confusing it with reality. In the end, the Bermuda Triangle is not a gateway to another dimension or a graveyard claimed by unknown forces. It is a mirror reflecting our own hopes, fears, and curiosity back at us. And in that reflection, we see something deeply human, the endless desire to understand a world that is at once familiar and profoundly strange. And that concludes that article, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, to be honest with you, listening to this article sounds like a very passive-aggressive way of saying you're all idiots. Because I do not think the supernatural with the Bermuda Triangle, where, like the time warp stuff like that. But it is proven that there have been magnetic issues in that area.
Mm-hmm.
That's where he's absolutely completely wrong. That's where he's completely wrong. There's
Well,
no.
it was done by the editor, so
Mhm. Right.
I don't know
And
how many editors this particular site has, but say they have 4 editors. Well, all 4 of them contributed some part to this articles.
Mhm.
I'm not
Right.
trying to defend them, Baron. I'm just
I know you're. I'm just saying the article. I mean, it's just a passive aggressive. I'm just saying overall the article. But we do know because it's been reported. I mean, you have people who have lived their life on the seas or the oceans. They report this. Who would know better than someone who's virtually lived on the sea their entire life compared to a bunch of quote unquote researchers, right? And and of course, yeah, they're right about the fact that it's beyond boundaries. There is, believe it or not, there is another type of triangle that's over in towards Asia, but we never hear about it. But I'm sure they know about it well over there because it's regional type of thing. Ours just gets better press. But you haven't heard much about the Bermuda Triangle in a long time. So it's
no, you haven't.
kind of, yeah. And I birthed by the sea? No, I birthed the seas from these cracks. Just want to let you know that, Stephen. Good to see you, by the way, buddy.
Great to see you, Steven.
Hey, Steven.
It is proven that the magnetic, and yes, it's not necessarily a triangle. It's a fun thing, but an incident to prove that one point on that is in New Orleans. They were having a problem at one time where they went into, because the graves are mausoleums, they're not buried, obvious reasons.
No, because of that sea below.
Yep. So they walked into one, and all the coffins were tossed around. The bodies were obviously knocked out of it because of such. Everybody was aghast. Who would desecrate this? And so they got everything all cleaned up and such, put everything back, made sure the doors were locked completely. No one could get back into it, and kind of had an eye on it. Well, it happened again. And as they're investigating through this, the coffins were made of metal. And someone came to the conclusion that
it's the magnetic field of the planet.
Right. Now, what about other factors that you have to throw in that would cause the planet, and particularly maybe an area that is highly influenced by it? Because we do know the poles do shift. The North Pole becomes the South Pole, and the South Pole becomes the North Pole. It's happened before, it'll happen again. And obviously there's got to be areas in between. So whatever magnetic thing would be under that area, let's throw in sunspots or even solar flares, or all this that already cause enough problems on Earth. They knock out satellites, they knock out communications, they knock out an entire town like New York did back in the 70s, right? So they're pretty destructive force. So are we taking this into account? I didn't hear anything about that.
I didn't see anything in the article about that.
So here's another piece. Again, supernatural, if you want to call it that, but it's supernature.
Yeah.
This might be area. The one that's in Asia, probably the same thing, is susceptible to these things. We know, when they were talking about, the pilot was dumb. Oh, he just was stupid. And he's a trainer. He knows. He'd be, you wouldn't put an idiot in charge of training a flight overseas or over the open water like that, where you have to go by your navigation, by your equipment, not by sight.
Can I add something? Because it goes back to something you mentioned earlier, how scientists want you to believe everything they say.
Right.
What they say is truth. That's exactly how this article came across.
Right. It was there's a profound amount of arrogance in there in telling us that we're idiots.
Yeah.
And it's like, some of us have looked into it and we're not gobsmacked by aliens or whatnot.
No, there's a genuine mystery as to why these aircraft, especially those that disappeared in 45 and afterwards, and also the ships that disappeared. And real quick, before we continue on, I do want to say hello to Iron One.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, man?
Yeah, the Devil's Triangle. That's the other one. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, I mean, he's ignoring the fact that there are these other ones out there. They just don't get the press necessarily or ignored. And, and you know what? The other thing I didn't find in this article? An answer.
No, because they don't have one, Baron.
Right. But they poo-poo something out of hand that already is a high on top of the list that's been causing issues. Why would be starting to cause less issues now? GPS. How many actually still rely as their main source a compass compared to the GPS systems now?
Yeah, and I've heard about this story that John's spraying up.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I remember that story. Yeah, that kind of freaked out a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So, I wouldn't call that sensationalized, but to poo-poo that completely and utterly out of the way when you already kind of put in there that, yeah, this has been an issue, you just defeated your own argument. You just gave the weaponization, and now I think we're closer to what the Bermuda Triangle more is. I never once thought it was the gateway into an alien world or any of that stuff.
No,
I don't think that at all either. What the hell?
but I do believe it's an area of the Atlantic, highly volatile, especially because of where it's located, and being a tropical area, how a storm can pop up quickly. It changes the conditions, whether you're up in the air or in the water, so rapidly that you don't have time to adjust.
Which is one of the reasons a lot of times when you hear, they say that the sky changing color. Well, the sky starts changing color, especially over the ocean. It means that you're not, red sky at night, sailors delight. Red sky in the morning, sailor take warning. That's the old saying goes. So yeah, when you have the sky turning different colors, it's like this might not be a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, even in my area, especially during the summertime, you can see how quickly storms form.
Right. And they, and something that you in the article, and even you sat back and said, we've hardly scratched the surface of what's underneath the ocean. Well, okay, great, Hunyuk. Maybe that's something that helps this out too. You already admitted you don't know what you're talking about that goes on underneath there. You already admitted that there are things in this area that do cause issues. Well, it doesn't mean that the issue starts there. A lot of the time, the things happen out further. It's like a tsunami. You never see the tsunami in the ocean when an earthquake happens. No, it looks just about normal. It's like the tsunami would go underneath you, and it'd be just maybe a little dip. But when it gets to shore, and there's less, more ground underneath, that's when it becomes the issue. And maybe this is a tsunami in that fashion.
And John talking about that 72 incident in Pennsylvania, one guy finding his mother's coffin on the front porch. Hey, honey, mom's here.
Yeah, I was just going to do that. I said, forgive me for going in. Hey, mom's here. Mom's come by to visit. A little smelly, but yeah.
Don't worry, she's fine. She just had a bath.
See, and that's the one thing about, the folklore sayings are, the Mariana Twins too, are whatnot. They're just sometimes little sayings because they are right. They're from observations. Yeah, they're not still with a scientific gobbledygook and technobabble. It's straight to straight to us poor plebeian, simple-minded folks that we understand. Doesn't look good up there. might want to take cover.
Well, we understand, and there are things that we can look at from an outside perspective that a scientist can be narrow-minded about.
Right.
Even this article I was getting, this, sense that whoever was part of putting this article together was only able to see straight ahead through a pinhole. They weren't able to look at a wide angle.
Right. Everything that's been brought up about the Bermuda Triangle, it was shot down, and not even shot down well, such as, again, the magnetic stuff. I think, again, I don't believe in the time warps and stuff like that. But this is a scientific thing. It's been proven, but yet you're going to poo-poo it. And you're going to also ignore the people who've been on the sea that explain and say stuff by saying, oh, they're just doing folklore, or they're just overly excitable. You can't be overly excitable and live your life out there. If you get excitable about something, it means something's happening. You'd walk out on the deck of the ship and it's like, oh my god, that looks horrible out there, and the deckhand would sit back and say, that's nothing. First of all, that's behind us. Blah blah blah. You don't have anything to worry about. And then the same guy could come on later on, and the sky looks absolutely perfect, and the deckhands are going nuts, going, we got to batten down the hatches. Why? Oh, we're in for something. I don't see anything. Trust me. They know.
So my dad was. Anytime I went out fishing with him, if he saw that there's a storm approaching, he would look at the storm to try to determine, okay, can we stay out a little longer, or should we start heading back? And if I saw him trotting toward the harbor, I knew he made his decision that we're heading back.
Right. Again, there's so many things about the ocean. And again, like I said, and it was also brought up out there, I believe Iron Lung did that, that there are other areas that do have these same problems. It's like, what brews up that perfect storm? And what I mean by that is for an event to happen. People still have a hard time figuring out that the sun can vary the temperature on Earth, because I remember when I was a kid growing up, they said, the sun itself doesn't really, it doesn't really do much to change the temperature. It's just where we are on the Earth. Lo and behold, what do we discover? Yes, the sun warms up, and it warms us up, cools down, and we cool down. Of course, all us kids already had that figured out, but we're being told by the so-and-sos above us that, know better, that that's not the case.
We're being told be quiet when we were kids.
Right. Just like this is telling us.
Be quiet, you don't know anything.
Yeah. But how dare you question this?
But yeah, I would love to hear something that really fascinates Cash.
Money.
Yeah, right. Well, that should fascinate everybody now. I don't know. Like,
Is there any one particular thing that boggles your mind and has boggled many people's minds throughout the years?
I don't know. I mean, I've always been fascinated about aliens, and I've always been fascinated about ghosts, and I've even when I was working at the script library over at the college, put on some ghost stuff, and this lady's house said it was haunted, and they left it, but they lost like all this money, or they went bankrupt or something. It was really, it was, I'm trying to remember what the show was called. I'm not sure if it's still on, but some of this stuff does fascinate me. Other times, even when you're playing like a video game or something, you're in like an asylum area or something, like, what was it? I think Thief 3 or something. It was so creepy. And you think, or Amnesia, if you guys ever played that game, like would it be like if this place really was some kind of horror, and it's more like in your mind, but it's just I don't know. I've always been fascinated about that stuff, especially ghosts and aliens. Not so much with Bigfoot, but like I try to stay open minded about this stuff. I understand why people care about these things. People so I remember in high school people were like, dude, did you hear this new track? Tupac is still alive, man. He's still there. And they just kept talking about that. It was crazy. I'm like, nah, I don't think he's alive anymore. I think there's even people out there who still believe Elvis is still alive. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
just
that was a good one.
you know they can't let that go, and you know if that makes them happy, I don't really see a problem with it. So. Yeah. So
Yeah. Well, obviously, ghosts and UFOs have been a top on a lot of people's fascinations. Going back ages, obviously. I mean, we're talking about hundreds of years for both, because you did have people reporting strange things in the skies back in 1,000 years ago, if not more. And of course, the spirit talks, and somewhere along the way, you had shamans who believed they could spirits
Mhm.
or ghosts, or some places haunted. You have the banshee. It doesn't matter, or even the undead itself. I mean, they still believe in vampires in places in Romania and such to this day. Some When Frank Luke was shot down, he died with a snarl on his face, and they had to try to keep people from putting a stake through his heart because of that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I yeah. I mean, I find this stuff fascinating. I mean, some of this apocalypse stuff I find interesting too. Like Fallout was like, is it possible that in a nuclear fallout could these actual bugs and stuff could they really grow to that size and so on? It's very interesting to think about these things, and it does bother me, guys, that there are so many people who are closed minded about this. Who cares? Whatever. It's I mean, they don't have to, but I think if we want to come up with new ideas, people need to be open minded about a number of things. Maybe not everything, but because
Well-
we see what happens with some of this stuff.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Do you believe that there are some people who do have the ability to commune with the dead?
I don't know. I don't know. I've seen stuff on that. I mean, maybe. I don't know. That one is tough.
which the actual art would be truly called necromancy, because that's what necromancy is about. Not necessarily raising the dead, but communicating with the dead.
Right.
It just got turned into, as fantasy became more popular and such, that that's the old guy that's on top of a hill trying to raise up an entire graveyard.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if these fortune tellers over the years and even now, I mean, I think there's even a place around here that you can go to a house and get your fortune told. I mean, if it does actually help people, I can't say I'm against that. If they're just trying to scam people, which I'm sure other people feel that there are, but if they're
Like
really
Lady
trying
Q?
to, yeah, right, yeah. Gosh, geez, that's a name.
Our certified psychics will be there for you.
Yes.
Never had it, never will. Ha ha ha.
So, I think definitely, if they're trying to help people and so on, I don't think there's an issue with that. Do I think people can really communicate with the dead? I don't know. That's hard to say, really. So yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, what about the supernatural? I mean, that goes along the lines of ghosts, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Do you believe in the supernatural?
I think there's just definitely things out there you just can't explain. I mean, I remember somebody before living in my grandmother's house and said that there were things moved around. And I mean, I think any of this stuff is possible. Is it possible that a house could be haunted? Is it possible that the house on their that mansion and so on is haunted, or that people live there? Sure. I think there could definitely be spirits out there. But even like with aliens, the way that a lot of humans have shown them how violent they can be in this, sure, that's possible. But for some reason, I just don't exactly believe that. I think we're painting a certain picture of aliens, which is interesting, but I just don't think if we actually do make contact that it's going to be that situation. I don't think it's going to be like we've seen in The Simpsons. They want to enslave the human race and stuff. It's funny, but it's also scary too, you know. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, a lot of the stuff doesn't make sense, and a lot of that came from like the '50s science fiction, where it was an basic analogy to the Red Scare, the communists, and such like that, and they're using the movies to enforce across that. I mean, when it comes with spirits and all that, see, for me, there is like the Witch of Endor, where King Saul went to, who was again a necromancer. He's supposed to be able to speak to the spirits, and this is actually kind of a debated thing amongst some of us in the theological area. Is, did she really talk to Samuel? Was it something else that was taking the form of Samuel that tried Saul? Because after that, after he did that, the next day Saul died, fell his own sword as the battle went away, being cursed by God. Part of me goes into this belief that, when you die, we go to where we are, and our spirits will be there until they can be reunited with their body, which will be perfect. And while we're there, we're praying for those that we have left behind. Now, along with that, though, is, then you have, of course, spirits that are naturally spirits. Angels are spirits. They do not have a body. God does not have a body. Jesus did, but that gets into complex theory there. The Holy Spirit, obviously, Holy Ghost, or whatever you want to call, doesn't have a body. But what is the brain? The brain is chemical and electromagnetic, both at the same time. Is that type of computer. There, obviously, if you take an EKG, there's something going up there that's in this realm of energy. But of course, it's also rampaging through with a bunch of chemicals. And you can have it could be a traumatic or whatever situation that could probably fire off and leave an imprint behind, a phantom, shall we say. One example comes to mind is there was this church, and it would be visited by this apparition that kept on going over and over again. The same steps. No, never varied, never responded anything, right? But you can only see it from like the waist up from the floor. It would come in, do its thing, and then go out. They discovered as they went along that, that flooring section was actually raised. If you take that flooring away, that's where the old floor was, where her feet would be. What we're seeing here is a recording in time, because whatever it was, the impression that was going through was imprinted there. Same thing with a battlefield. You can never have anything more, obviously, that would leave impressions behind than a battlefield. Well, with the electromagnetic and such with the body, what's the possibility of leaving those phantoms, those feelings, those emotions behind for the generations to come to feel it? Because we ourselves, it's like a radio, a transmitter too. We receive and give signals. We have auras. You might as well call it an aura. Whatever it is, there's a lot about the human body we do not still know about, and we want to talk about these. They want to shut it down as mumble jumble pseudoscience.
Right.
But why haven't we access the full potential of our brains?
Exactly. We don't have the full potential. 1,000 years ago, a man could literally hear an epic saga in one sitting and virtually have 3/4 of it memorized. Can we do that now?
No, I can't say we can.
Unless someone had an eidetic memory. Can you imagine having eidetic memory as a norm?
That's the one thing that bothers me. I mean, what is this all? We don't want to have a society. We can't ask certain questions. We can't do this. It's ridiculous. And so you got all this nonsense. It's like, no, we need to ask more questions so we can get more answers. That's why we also came up with all this stuff. People ask questions. They sat around in boardrooms and whatever, started asking questions. What can we do to fix this? What can we actually do to make people's lives better? People that actually care. And so we stop asking. We decide to stop asking questions in general. That's a huge problem.
Well, I mean, let's face it. It comes to a simple question. Why am I here? And now he's getting the birth of religion.
Right.
Because you kind of figure out, why am I here?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, was there a superpower that made me?
Right.
Or what? How did I come about? How did we come about?
Yes.
And science and theology are meshing together, and sagas and myths are growing. And you start finding out that many of these things are connected.
Mm-hmm.
The stories are connected, even though they have different names and different cultures. Right? So, I mean, it starts off with a question. Everything starts off with a question. No one should ever be poo-pooed for asking a question. Why does somebody ask a question? It's because they don't know. And if you don't know the answer, don't be arrogant and snotty about it. The one answer that can garner you the utmost respect with just about everybody is, I don't know, but I'm trying to find out.
Right. Yeah.
That's all it takes.
And that's all we're all trying to do, is just find out the answer to these mysteries. What can actually happen, what truly does exist, as opposed to what's been born out of legend, born out of something that somebody saw and it just exploded.
Right. I mean, unfortunately, the kook burgers and such coming out don't help matters much. I mean, it's virtually destroyed the ufology area because there's so many. And of course, people like Marshall Applewhite and his Hale Papanauts don't help matters much when they commit suicide because they think there's a spaceship following behind those, behind those comets that's going to take them to the higher level. Unfortunately,
I was going to say, during that time, because it was in the San Diego area, more specifically Rancho Santa Fe, you got constant coverage.
Yeah.
Constant coverage of that. And you looked at Applewhite thinking, this guy, he's got a few screws loose.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you have yourself castrated, it's like, hey, there's your first sign, folks. I mean, it comes and the attack on some of the people who have had claimed encounters, that's ridiculous. Such as, of course, Betty and Barney Hill comes to mind, right? Now, here you are in the 50s, 60s with an interracial couple, right? Obviously, you are getting a lot of attention because of that, especially before the era that was in.
Yeah.
So let's stir the pot up even more and say we were abducted by aliens, right? Some more undue attention to you. And then you have a material that's stained on her dress that they cannot identify. She points to a couple stars that have not been discovered yet on a star chart, which at first they were kind of poo-pooing her at first on that one until years later when they told, those stars exist.
They exist.
And the medical issues that Barney Hill was suffering from, and the things that were on its body that after that event happened. The Walton abduction, right? They're so quick to poo-poo it, but again, on such the flimsy, the same thing with the Shroud of Turan, right? So they're out in the middle of nowhere. They see this thing in the sky, and Travis disappears, right?
Right.
And by this device, by this thing that they saw, and they're all scared. You know what? They go into town and they tell everybody, hey, so, especially the enforcement, that hey, something happened. We don't know what it was, but Travis ain't around. It took Travis, and the sheriff is threatening them with the fact that I can have you guys executed. We will bring up a case of foul play, and we'll go for a death sentence. Now, I'm sure they were saying that this was a practical joke these guys were doing, right? Well, I don't know about you, but if I was doing a practical joke and the sheriff says, yeah, you can hang for this, I sit back and say, oh, but no, sorry. It's a joke. Wait a couple of days here, Travis will come out of the woods and we'll have a good old time in a beer down at the pub. No, they stuck to their stories. And then Travis comes back with the story that he had, what happened to him, right? These guys aren't wanting to go out to get any fame. In fact, they want to be left alone. And then they say, well, one of the guys recently disavowed everything. See, that's proof. One guy disavowed it. Yeah, because there are people like you that have been constantly hounding him, calling him a liar and all sorts of other different names. He just wants to be left alone. These are perfect examples that something happened. And they're not fully equipped to sit back and fully say, except probably for Travis, because, he said things were done to him. And of course, the movie Fire in the Sky is obviously a Hollywood dramatization. Take it for what it's worth. But these two events are enough to sit back and going, okay, what happened here? What happened?
No,
Compared to some of the other ones where it's obvious that these people are just absolute kook bags.
Well, I mean, what about the gold mining town of Bodie in California? How people just up and left.
Mm-hmm.
And some people are asking, why did people up and leave? Well, some people have speculated it's because there was no gold in the mines that they've been mining for years. So the people just up and left everything behind. Because I remember when I went there, I had to be around, I don't know, 7, 8 years old at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And you're looking through windows and you're still seeing stuff on tables, stuff on shelves, looking into the schoolhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And you still see books sitting there, covered in dust.
Right. Why? The Marie Celeste. Why?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I believe Travis too. I believe something happened there. And what exactly? Well, instead of trying to keep on attacking those men, it's like, why don't we go to the next level and try to figure out what the situation was?
Mm-hmm.
Because that just goes down to bullying.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, let's bully these people into silence because we don't like what they're saying. Well, flat earthers don't bother me. No. They should bother nobody.
No.
Right? It's just like they sit back and say they're a flat earther. Okay, fine.
Right.
What does it do to me? It doesn't affect me at all, right? But some people find it a personal affront on that.
Yes.
Because it's like, I gotta be right. I gotta blah blah blah. Now, granted, flat earthers can be just like vegans. They'll tell you every 5 fucking minutes. That gets on your nerves. But
you been talking to vegans lately, Baron?
Yeah, you.
I'm not a vegan though. That's the thing. But nice try.
But the thing is because someone doesn't believe that the Earth is round. Okay,
Right.
whatever. Or doesn't care if the world is round, like Sherlock Holmes, as he sat back and said, "What does it pertain to my life? This is what I'm dealing with here."
Mm-hmm.
So the world round, flat, oblong, who cares, right? what is the need for me? I know the show Sherlock tried to be snarky about and make a proof of it. See, he wouldn't have solved the case if it wasn't for that. No, fuck you, Sherlock. But in all general cases, though, again, what does it bother anybody? Let them go off. Let them believe. Oh, someone doesn't believe in the moon landing. Again,
Right.
it's kind of like the
I know
vegan thing.
people
Every
who
five. Yeah, they'll tell you every 5 minutes. A lot of them.
First one,
But
right.
yeah, but it's like, what's it hurting me? What's it hurting me? It doesn't hurt me in anything. I don't care.
Yeah,
Right.
somebody made a documentary or a few that
Yeah.
the first moon
Mhm.
landing. This is the reason why. Blah blah whatever.
Right. And if you want to believe that, go right ahead. I am not going to. But the problem I have is when you try to suppress something.
Yes.
And you're like, I that then, like the article about the Bermuda Triangle, again, that seemed like a swipe to try to shut people up because you're just on watch masses. You don't know anything. What education do you have? Well, a lot of us have life. And it's a lot more than you have. That's what I care about. Let's find out what those mysteries are. We haven't even touched many of the mysteries. I know we're coming up to about the 3-hour mark here.
Yeah.
I mean, we could do if Mike's willing,
We could do a sequel show.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm already approving a sequel show.
Nice.
So you know.
Well,
there's
that's
so much.
it's like other things that we've talked about, Spock. I mean, people are just so close-minded about stuff, and it's also bad when the professors are saying things too. And there are cases that I've seen, and I'm sure you have seen, man, that they were saying stuff that's factually wrong.
Right.
And that's a problem too, because you're putting out wrong information instead of saying, this is my opinion, and it going into the whole situation. Oh, this is fact, and I know it's fact. When then later on, it turns out that's not true. So I'm not surprised that lady, young girl at the time or whatever, young lady, actually felt that way because she was told by somebody else or whatever, and they don't want to do the research, because why would all these people want to do the research on anything? They know everything according to their brains. Yeah.
Well, you see, there is a thing though, is where all people are going into it with speculation and such. Gravity. Explain it.
Right.
Explain to me how we can do it. If one of you can explain to me, or better yet, do it, like DJ Ronnie G, actually able to manipulate gravity in such a fashion, you'd own the world. You would own the world. We know it's there. It exists. We watch objects fall all the time, especially me, because I knock stuff over all the time. We know it's there, but how? Same thing with electricity. Energy is eternal.
Yes.
Right? It doesn't go away.
No.
So, what's the who, what, well, what? Yeah, we can generate electricity, but what is it?
Yep.
We're dealing with tools and things we have no understanding about. We just know how to manipulate it. So right there is supernatural for us.
Yes.
We just know how to do it. As I believe Arthur C. Clarke made a point of, all sciences is magic explained. And there's a lot of magic that hasn't been.
Very true, very true. And Spock, I'm not going to take credit for tonight's show idea. This was an idea that Baron had. He approached me about it, asked me if I'd want to do a show like this. And I said yes.
Wendy,
So-
no. How? First of all,
And speaking of Wendy, you mentioned her earlier. It's good to see Wendy.
I told you a story about the ghost you had in the hospital that you said on my show way back when. But how's your grandson? I hope he still has all 6 fingers. Her grandson has 6 fingers on one hand. It's amazing. And I hope they decided to keep it. Hopefully it's full functioning. But don't tell Raymond I will show up someday here. I'm getting a lot of stuff back to normal. I miss all of you. I miss John. I miss you. I miss Raymond. Everybody. Fett. or Fetty as I call him. Yeah, it's like, yeah, Sandra, and thank you so much. Yeah, I know you guys had all of you had met my father over the interwebs, over the YouTube, but I do think about you guys quite a lot. Oh, he has a granddaughter and another on the way. Oh, that's great to hear. That's great to hear. Yeah, you're living the dream. You're having kids giving you grandchildren. Oh, thank you, Spocky. Spocko. Thank you, Spocko. You know what, Fez? I love you. I love you, Wendy. I love everybody over at King Dolphin TV. No, I'll get yeah. I'll haunt you guys, and I'll even talk about mirror punching too. And we get Snorty coming by quite a bit, just to let you know. So.
Yeah, Snorty has stopped by Pop Talk several times, and
it is human.
He does acknowledge my post on X. So I know he's one of the lurkers too.
Yep. Yeah. You just declared her, and you're seeing that around. Yeah. See, I listen to you. Yeah, Wendy's got some good stories too. I mean, she really does. So,
well, then I'm gonna ask Wendy this. The next time we do the sequel to this show, would you like to be a guest and talk about some of your stories?
Folks, you're seeing the sausage being made right now. But I'm glad that so many seem to like this idea up here. I know Mike and Cash and I were talking, and how we didn't want to always do topics or do articles.
Read articles. I mean, your original idea for the show, just to let everybody know, was to have a couple of articles and then go into the topic. My idea was forget the articles. Let's get straight to the topic.
And he still gave us an article.
Well, it was still associated with what I'm fascinated by, and that's the Bermuda Triangle.
Man, there goes twisting
the
knife just a bit.
I want to say we're still following each other on X. I don't know, because I don't see a lot of posts from different people on X as it is from people I follow. I'll have to check.
Me either.
I'm the world's worst social media guy. I always sit back and think I need a little bit of an effort. I need a secretary. If anybody wants to be my secretary, please.
I'm my own secretary. I'm my own thumbnail artist.
And that explains a lot.
Oh, boy.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Just the next show, Unexplainable Mysteries. What happened to Baron?
What happened to Baron Organ 10? What happened to Baron Organ?
Why is he no longer on Pop Talk?
Why is he not on Pop Talk anymore? I don't know.
Did he join Jimmy Hoffa or not? We will find out on this exciting episode of Unsolved Mysteries.
Yeah, well, I use it for DMs too, Wendy, but I do use it to cheer up the stream as well.
Yeah, I don't check Twix as much, or X or whatever, as much as like Discord. So
yeah, that's right, DJ. If you want to be on the next one, if any of you want to be on the next one that we do, let me know.
Yes.
And I'm your article.
There are two ways to get a hold of me. On X via the DMs, and also if you have Discord. That's the best way to get a hold of me. If I don't respond right away, it's probably because I'm working on a thumbnail or something stream related.
I use my phone.
Well, you know how to contact me via phone, so.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I do the same thing with Cash.
Yes. He went tubing in the Bermuda Triangle.
I'm sure he did.
He came back.
I'm sure. I can see Baron doing that. Bye bye, everybody.
Okay. That sounds awesome, DJ.
I do.
As a matter of fact, Wendy, I'm gonna see if I'm still following you. You're still following me, just because I'm curious right now. So while I'm doing that, gentlemen, if you have anything you'd like to promote or anything you'd like to say, please.
Yeah, well, jokes aside, there's a lot of mysteries in space, though, DJ. I'm sure you can enlighten us too. So think about it, man. Think about it. Cash,
Think about it. Yeah.
Think about it. I don't have much.
I am so proud that Mike and I finished Evil West. That was a bigger task than I expected, but that's okay. Yeah, we got to get back to Cranky Old Fans now, Baron. We got to kick some ass with that over on Rumble and YouTube and take YouTube by storm, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. The freaking Space Marine 2 thing is kind of a mess. So,
well, we can play any game. I just want to. I just want to get back into a game, man.
Unfortunately, yeah. My frown is always upside down when I see you, Phil. All the time, buddy. Yeah.
I'm usually running away.
Yeah. But yeah, so we'll if I can figure that out and that'll work out. It's a little bit trickier with the desktop. I got to make sure it's plugged in, and it's kind of a mess. It might. What's going to probably happen, Baron, is it's probably best to be in the living room and doing that. So maybe like it would be an earlier stream. See how it goes from there instead of a later one where there's already rowdy people out in the living room. So, the TV's on and this and that. So yeah, probably be better around like early afternoon for a few hours or something like that. If it's on the laptop for now. Because I haven't been able to upgrade my desktop yet. So this one does a lot, Baron, but it's older now. So technology gets older, obviously. So
like you.
All of us.
Like
that's
me.
Right.
Like
just
Mike.
like Mike, like everybody.
One step closer to the knacker's yard.
Yes, Wendy, we are still following each other. So I'll make sure to send you a DM for the next time that we decide to do the sequel to the show.
Well, I mean, Iron, we do all have, as far as I know, we have Arc Raiders. So
yeah, I haven't fired it up yet. I haven't even put on.
I played it a little bit. I do those robots do piss me off, but I guess that's the point. Yeah. But yeah, so we got to get Cranky Old Fans together. I'm still working on some more thumbnails and some other stuff. I'm glad to see the Phantom Hooligans has been growing a bit. The Rumble channel has been growing a little bit. Yeah. So I'm glad that everybody who was watching Evil West was enjoying it. Mike and I just want to put on a good show and,
Yeah, it took Ugly Jesse a while to get himself situated. So while he was getting himself situated, I took care of some of the vampires and stuff. And
sure.
Yeah, then of course we got to the ballroom part, and that was a pain.
You're an alien, Spock. Hold on a minute here, buddy. But yeah, it was.
Josh was too busy trying to dance in the ballroom. Is that the issue?
No.
You're trying to take out the vampire or whatever.
He was trying to dance with these 3 vampire bats, and
I agree.
I said, listen, pal, you do not want to date them. They bite. It hurts.
No,
he likes that though.
What the problem that people can run into in those games is when you have the enemy that keeps healing and healing and healing. And so we ran into that close to the end of the game, but we figured it out. And I'll tell people again and again that, you don't always have to use a guide. Just take a deep breath, start trying to figure it out.
I have an Xbox One, but I haven't fired it up. I do use Game Pass.
I have
on my PC, but
a few years ago. But
I'm a PC guy myself. So
I would always tell people that that's just extra. If you're going to buy a Nintendo Switch 2 or an Xbox Series X, probably have a good, decent PC first. So.
But anything else coming up? I mean, again, like Baron said, we don't have to fight for the Emperor. There are other games that we can play together.
Yeah, we can find some other stuff. I just, I'm
Dark Tide.
I'm just gonna.
Vermintide,
Yep, we got
Ghostbusters.
Vermintide, Dark Tide. Yep, yeah, we can do that. So, I just know Baron was itching to fight for the Emperor. So I'm gonna.
Baron and I have both been itching to fight.
Baron, well, I think Baron more because he's played it more than us.
I haven't played in a while though, but
Yeah.
I need to get back into practice. So
Okay, so Baron, you have not gone through at all the campaign, right?
I haven't done any of the campaign. I've just been doing the PvP stuff.
And Mike, you've done some of the campaign though?
I've done some of the campaign.
Okay. So have I. All right. So yeah, we'll just have to figure that out and stuff. But
I mean, if we can do the campaign multi-party, I mean,
oh yeah, of course we would do that.
That's kind of one of the reasons why I kind of held back doing that. I figured, well,
that's why I didn't go any further than where I left off in the campaigns, because I knew that at some point we were going to be streaming Space Marine 2.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just it's so frustrating to me because it used to work on this desktop, and now it's like it doesn't.
Let me ask you. You know how it worked for Evil West.
Yeah.
What if you try verifying the files for Space Marine 2?
I guess
I could to work.
I guess I could try that again.
It's worth a shot. Even if it doesn't work, at least you try it.
It's just like the Marvel Rivals situation. Those games both ran on a good, like medium settings, which is fine. Medium settings is fine. But now, after a few patches, they basically told me to screw off. So.
No, I don't think Space Marine's a ripoff of Gears of War. They're both good games.
Oh yeah, definitely not.
No, too much of a history with Space Marines. So
the aliens are different. The story is different. You're fighting for the Emperor. You're not exactly fighting for the Emperor in Gears of War.
Yeah.
For the Emperor!
Unless you want to just go back and say it's a first-person shooter and you're blowing stuff up.
Right. Well, Well, Gears is definitely a third person as well. So, yeah. So, but yeah, there's I'm glad that I've been just getting back to things, and just I'm gonna let Mike and Baron know, like, when we're gonna do another stream, or I'm doing another stream with somebody else, that we can figure that out and so on. So we can, because it's good, I think, even on other channels to do streams like this, just different topics, whatever. There's a lot of things to always talk about. There really is. It's not just you need to always talk about the trendy stuff all the time. That's fine sometimes, I get it. But
you know how I feel about the trendy stuff anymore.
Yeah. A lot of it just can be very draining. So talking about things like this, and a lot of channels don't seem to talk about this stuff anymore. Some still do, I'm sure, but not as many. So. Yeah, right. I'm afraid of. I saw what was on your stream recently.
Yeah, he told me about it last night.
DJ, man,
during the member stream.
DJ. I told some people.
I mean, there could be worse things to have on your computer, DJ.
Absolutely, DJ. You and David Duchovny should have a nice talk. You should have him on your channel, dude.
And thank you, Iron Lund. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks. For sure. It's a good topic Baron came up with. We just wanted to figure out where we wanted to go from there. But it is funny that Mike actually... the Bermuda Triangle article was still like... some of it was somewhat interesting, though. But yeah, it can be...
I'm still glad I selected it, because it still went back to a point of view that we had earlier, that scientists are so full of themselves, too, that they believe their own hype.
Yeah.
Right. And I guess my big problem with that article was not the fact that they're going from that certain point of view, but again, they never gave any answers.
No, they didn't.
You're a bunch of idiots, blah, blah, blah. And here I am just going to pontificate, and I have no answers for you. But you guys are idiots. And that's my problem. I mean, if, they were willing to come forward with more things, it's like, hey, but
Yeah.
that wasn't the case. Thoughts and ideas, folks.
Mhm.
Okay, what are your thoughts? And don't tell me they're scientifically proven, because they ain't.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so there's just definitely more ideas on the Phantom Hooligans coming up. I just have to figure all this stuff. I'm glad our Eva West stream turned out well. Other streams that are coming up. There's so many games that I have to probably stream just this year. I basically have quite a digital collection of stuff, especially on Steam.
I'll
Not
be
as
right back, guys.
on Epic Games, but definitely on Steam. So there's and I'll tell people out there too, if there's some new game you want to try out, new demo thing, go for it. And if you want to make a stream of it and you're a streamer, do that too. Why not? Giving these attention to these news companies that people probably don't know about can be a good thing, especially if you like the game. So yeah, there's definitely stuff coming up still in the Phantom Hooligans and the Cash Money Madness. And Baron and I decided that cranky old fans would now be on YouTube and Rumble. Before it's like, exclusively on Rumble, but we're like, fuck it. we're gonna if we offend people, good. We're not trying to. That's not the point of cranky old fans. But sometimes we're not even that cranky, Baron. With some of the streams, we call ourselves cranky old fans, and we're not as cranky. It's like, we got to get crankier. We got to get more. Got to get really cranky on this. Yeah. But I hope, Baron, you're going to start up your communist streams, right? With the
Da combat.
I'm glad that you like that game that I had bought you. So that's cool.
It's great fun. A lot of too many hours of fun.
The police simulator stuff where you're going, we got to arrest this person, and I'll tell you guys out there and stuff. And some people are not. They want to be fake about this. I'll tell you out there, if you're really willing to ever want to stream about stuff, just be as genuine as you can. Find passions. Everybody has their passions. Everybody. And you can find passions. You're playing a game. Talk about something else. Whatever. It doesn't matter. But just always make sure that things are entertaining. So that's the most important thing. And I think Baron froze.
I did?
I think so, yeah. You're good now.
You did.
But yeah, so yeah. I think Baron would be a good stream for the both of us. I think cranky old fans. I think we should pick a number of actors and basically call it what happened to them. Why, they went this way, and probably not the best idea that anybody should go this direction. And I think that could be good. Yeah.
No.
Baron froze again.
I did.
He's frozen in time.
You're frozen in time, Baron.
Like Art Bell.
But now that things are slowing down for you, Baron, I guess we need to start thinking about the War Room. That can also be on both channels.
Yep.
I don't know. I'll have to figure out if it can be on Twitch as well for those live streams, but definitely Rumble and YouTube is good. So.
Well, it's like I said, you guys just need to talk with me about StreamYards, and
we will definitely.
We'll get it done.
We'll get there. Unless I'm
that
frozen.
we will. You're frozen again. You are frozen today.
Frozen.
But anything else coming up for you, Cash?
Nope.
Would it be for Friday? Would it be down the pipeline?
Nope. I'm gonna see what I can figure out Friday. If not, we'll find something else to play. So, but I really like to get that Space Marine thing working on the laptop. So we'll see. It's just if I do that, I think it would probably be better to play that in the living room, and then if you guys are cool with it, we would just do it at an earlier time on Friday. So
that's fine with me.
Yeah.
And I did want to ask you, Baron. When are you going to start protecting border of Afghanistan
What the-
again?
Ash just asked that.
I did.
I had to step away.
He had to step away, so he gets an excuse.
He gets an excuse. Soon here. Now that things are, again, barring anything else coming to pop things up. So hopefully this will be a good week for the long suffering and go from infusions to oral medications. If that's the case, that's a lot of things that will be a great help. So
Good.
Yes. And speaking of Pop, I'll be on Pops this Tuesday
Yeah.
at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and I'll be joining him, Squeak a Mouse, Ironcaster, and Stone Cold Loki, and we'll all be discussing the 1989 film Major League.
ooh.
Yes, we'll be discussing that great movie. And when Pops asked me if I wanted to be a part of that panel, I put up one of the gifts from the movie where you have Lou Brown talking to General Manager Charlie, and he goes, "My kind of team, Charlie. My kind of team."
Yeah, my kind of team. Yeah.
Thanks, John.
So,
Yeah.
so
have we seen that film? Sounds familiar.
yeah, we watched it last March
Funny.
in honor of Bob Euchre.
Just a bit on the inside.
The hell
Just a bit
with
on the outside.
yeah, the hell with it.
How the hell? But, who cares? Nobody's listening anyway.
Nobody's listening anyways. There's just so many great lines in that, and just 60 and 61 are hardly anything for this team. It is like it's just there's just so many great lines. In that.
Team.
I wouldn't leave that rum around here with these guys. Yeah, this
Bots for bots.
Bats.
Hey, Toronto. I think Joe Boo needs a refill.
Lou is always like, "Shut up, Dorn."
No. Bear is like Roger Dorn. Mike, it's in my contract.
Yeah.
I don't have to do any reading of articles. And then I'm like Lou Brown.
Yep. I've been
And
cut
if you've seen
already.
the movie, you know what?
Yep. I've been cut already. Shit. Yeah. Like I said,
well, Wesley Snipes as Willie Mays Hayes.
gosh,
Yeah.
what are you doing? A book report or something?
He was good in that film.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
But I'll be over with Pops. We'll be discussing it. It's going to be a lot of fun. So there won't be a stream on either the Rumble channel or YouTube channel for that Tuesday. But we'll be back on Pop Talk on Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. I don't know what we're talking about yet, guys. I really don't. I was looking at a few things today. And do we really want to talk about that? Do we really want to talk about this?
Yeah.
So I will figure something out between now and Wednesday. And then on Thursday, I do plan on playing more Black Myth Wukong. I know what I have to do in that particular part of the game. I literally have to go around this area, in a circle. I literally have to do that in the game. Battling bosses and enemies and such. So I'll be playing that, but I'll also be playing other games too. And
The
maybe
curly
I'll
shuffle. You got to do the curly shuffle. Get that game one. Cool.
yeah, Barrett. I have to do the curly shuffle. I have to get on the floor on my left arm, left shoulder, and then move myself around. Yeah.
He's gonna play Candy Crush, and he's gonna teach people.
I am not playing Candy Crush. I don't play mobile games. It could be Star Trek Online. It could be anything. Because over on the Rumble side, for Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern, I'll be playing some Marvel Rivals, some Ninja Gaiden, Ragebound, and also Nobody Wants to Die. I'm liking that game so far.
Okay.
Well, I finished Ghost Trick. and we finished Evil West.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So I still have to try to finish Ninja Gaiden Ragebound.
Yeah, that game's pretty unforgiving, as they always are.
Yeah.
It's crazy that they actually let you have a checkpoints now. That's nice, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And before we get out of here, I do want to acknowledge this right now, right here, right now. So let me go ahead and play this.
Oh, my. My.
All right, put the money in the bag. I'll buy that for $1.
And with a Shiba Inu super sticker for $2, we get that from Lady Miss. So thank you, Lady Miss, for that $2 super sticker. Really do appreciate it. And I didn't see it until after I ended the stream, but I did put a message in my post-game stream the other night. Thank you for that super chat that you gave as well. So again, thank you for the one tonight, and also thank you for the one on Thursday night. But I also want to let everybody know that there will be the Adventure Continues, a Star Trek discussion this coming Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern. I'm still waiting to hear from Anonymous as far as what episode we're going to be watching. If something comes up and he can't make it, my backup episode is the episode that made me realize, yes, you are indeed a Star Trek fan. And that episode is going to be Yesterday's Enterprise. Let's make sure history never forgets the name. Enterprise.
What ship was that? I don't know. I don't know what he said. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Thank you for being here, John. Really appreciate it.
Yep, definitely.
Do 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 do.
Anonymous.
Yes, but before we get out of here, I do want to do my customary thing, because I always do it. I want to thank everybody who took the time to stop by and hang out with us during tonight's show. I want to thank As Was. Thank you very much for stopping by and hanging out with us. And I also want to thank Helion for stopping by. I also want to thank Person Artwork. Thank you very much.
That's for done, yeah.
Yes. Yes. And I also want to thank Snitty. Thank you. We also had Lady Mist, Jet Sparks. We also had Linux User. Thank you for being here. Pat S. Thank you for being here. Producer extraordinaire. He does a lot of producing for Brandon, the anime guy, for his shows. And we also had Spock's Friday Nights. Spockle.
It's Buckle.
Yeah. I also had Tim here, the Panda Wannabe, DJ Ronnie G.
And the Turtles.
We also had Pet Forever, also known as John Rendell. Thank you, John. Iron Lund, thank you for being here. Bat Steven, thank you, Steven. Really appreciate it, brother. And of course, we also had the Primal Warrior herself, Wendy, stop by, and the Admiral herself, of course, Lady Mist, with that $2 super chat of a super sticker of the Shiba Inu. So thank you all so very much. Have yourselves a great night, and we will see you all later. Of course, remember two things on this channel. I'm not just a baseball guy. I'm an all-around guy. And don't ever give up on me in a game, because just when you do, you might miss something. Take care, all.
Autobots, transform and roll out!